Chapter 181. Ember and I plunge through the smoke and fire, diving into the wide-open hole created by my final attack against the Silver Knights. Although troublesome, I know the opponent lurking behind this wall will be a greater challenge than anything I've faced before. I'm ready for battle. Grinning ear to ear, and flaming from head to toe, we burst through the thick smoke. We finally make it inside. The black-scaled dragon lands with a thud and the dust settles slowly. Just from the echoing sound of Ember's hard landing, I can tell the room we've just invited ourselves into is much larger than the entrance hall we've departed from. My all-seeing eye is active, but the dense clouds of thick murderous mana-infused aura block my vision on all sides. I can only sense what's behind me, and that's not much. I know there's a dangerous beast ahead, and all I want to do is fight it. The dust finally clears completely, and the front half of the room we've landed ourselves in becomes much more clear. It's similar to the entrance hall we just left, but with much higher ceilings. Fire crackles behind me, and begins to creep along the sides of the walls, but the wide room goes on for easily 20 meters on both my left and right side. The retreating red cloud still covers the back half of the room in front of me, so it's hard to tell how deep it really goes. We're in what looks like a massive banquet hall. Tables are set with fine white cloth, silverware, and plates are delicately placed in front of each seat. This hall must be big enough to feed hundreds, and they must be expecting some important company. The perfectly set tables go on as far as the eye can see, almost 40 meters before fading away into the dark red mist at the back half of the room. I look up at the ceiling to see it's made of the same familiar yellow and orange glass. The intricate designs in this one are even more beautiful than the entrance hall. A pulse of energy comes out of the mist like it's putting out its feelers. I feel the evil entity controlling it for a moment and instinctually shiver. I gulp, focusing my attention back on the now fast-flowing mist-like aura, then open my link with Ember. It looks much more active than it was moments ago. This is be the floor boss, right? Ember nods one time as I jump off his back. It is definitely near. The light sound of my boots tapping the cold stone floor is the only thing that fills my ears as I walk past the white tables cautiously. I try to use inspect and appraisal, but nothing seems to make it through the mana-dense red mist. Not a single reading can be made from this odd phenomenon. It's similar to when I try to use my enemy detection skill on a void creeper. It's definitely there, but it's blocking me from sensing it. Ember trails close behind me. I'm ready to dungeon walk us out of here if anything goes south too fast, but my curiosity is eating away at me. Every step closer to the swirling red aura makes me shake more and more with the excitement an intense battle brings. Whatever is back there is stronger than anything I've ever faced before. Gritting my teeth, I make it to a portion of the banquet hall where red mist covers the floor. I hover my foot above the mana-dense aura for a moment, then stomp downward, letting that murderous presence creep up my spine. I shiver, but let my flames burn brighter to block out the eyes on the back of my head and continue to walk forward. This is all just an intimidation tactic. I know these moves well. I've used them many times before. I won't run from the fight before it's even started. Walking further in, the dense aura on the floor gets deeper and darker. It's up to my shins now. I activate my stat-boosting skills on full blast to push through with more willpower. I can feel it begging me to fall victim to its mental trap. There's a light tugging sensation at the back of my mind, trying to break in. Similar to when Ember attempts to open our telepathic link. Very similar. I bit my bottom lip, focusing on the target in front of me, and wading deeper into the dense aura that now drifts up to my waist. I activate my MP plundering ability, attempting to absorb some of the aura that fills the room. The knight I faced before now wasn't a fan of this ability, so maybe it'll have a greater effect on the fog here as well. The moment my skill activates, the mist surrounding me instantly retreats. I can see my black boots on the stone floor below me with perfect clarity. Just like when I started to take the last night's energy, the aura here seems to have a mind of its own. Or it's being controlled by a mind that doesn't like its MP being depleted. Even though it parted the moment my skill activates, I still plundered a small amount of mana. It's possible, just not very effective. I grin, then call out deep into the mist. You didn't like that much, did ya? I chuckle, keeping my plunder skill active while making slow footsteps further toward the back of the room. Ember follows behind me, sporting a toothy grin as well. The light crackle of flames and low hum of mana coming off my sword and armor fill the silence as I prepare for a fight to break out. Walking deeper into the murderous fog, it continues to drift away from both Ember and me as we keep our plundering abilities active. Light shines down from above in golden rays as it's filtered by the glass artwork above us. The red aura is falling in on itself faster and faster towards the back of the room. The mist isn't even trying to get near us now. It just seems to be consolidating on a single point. To me, it looks like the caster is deactivating this magic spell. It's the perfect time to take advantage of the situation. I eagerly outreach my senses, letting my all-seeing eye seep further into the room as the mana-blocking mist fades away. My inspect and appraisal skills finally pick up on a reading. The presence in the back of the room finally reveals itself. My eyes widen and my heart races when I see the information that finally comes into full view. LV 489. Active items. The Behemoth's armor set. Blood bonded plus 99% defense plus 79% speed plus 69% agility. The Behemoth's platinum ring plus 106% mental strength plus 86% strength. The Behemoth's platinum amulet plus 111% defense. Lower floor boss identification core. Active skills. Combat magic. Advanced earth summoning. Combat magic. Advanced mana manipulation. Buff. Transformation. Hidden ability. Finally, we meet. I continue walking forward in a straight line as the red aura retreats, getting denser and denser as it compacts into a much darker ball of mist at the backside of the room. More empty tables with perfectly set silverware and plates reveal themselves as the red fog dissipates. The only thing on my mind is getting a good look at this monster. Its armor and items all seem to be on a whole new level than any monsters I've faced in the past. It has 2 advanced combat magic skills. Earth summoning, and mana manipulation. I've seen both of these combat magic abilities performed before in their lesser forms, but never the advanced versions. Abby has an earth summoning skill, and I remember watching Nessa mimic mana manipulation during the C-class exams. These are the upgraded versions and will be used by a monster with mana control possibly stronger than my own. I grit my teeth, continuing to march forward. A smirk creeps its way across my face the closer I get to the consolidating clouds of red mana. I begin to think about its hidden ability, the transformation buff, but I'm rudely interrupted by the tugging sensation on my telepathic link once again. Staring straight ahead, I grip my sword tighter. Ember's link is already open. The closer I step to the cloud of dark aura at the back of the room, the harder the tugging sensation at the back of my mind becomes. It's easy to block out at first, but each footstep in the direction of the monster before me makes it harder and harder to concentrate. What was at first a light tugging has turned into a rhythmic tapping and scratching at the back of my brain. I let out a grunt, drinking an MP potion, and keeping my eyes focused forward on the beast behind the veil of blood-colored mist. I cross the halfway point of the large open banquet hall. I'm 40 meters in, and from what I can tell, there's about 40 meters or so to go until the back wall. I turn back to Ember, speaking through our link. I'll be going all out. Only interfere if I give you the word, or if I'm unable to do so. Ember nods in agreement as I turn back toward the fog and walk another 10 meters forward at a much faster, determined pace. My jaw is clenched and my eyes are locked on the outline of a tall, dark, oddly humanoid-looking figure at the back of the room beneath all this fog. The scratching feeling attempting to dig into my mind gets louder and louder, but I continue to push through. If I can't even get up close and personal with this floor boss, I'll have no chance of beating it in a fight. Another 10 meters go by, and the fog has completely contracted into a large glowing ball at the back of the room. It glows red, while the outline of a black shadowy figure can be seen within it observing the room before it. The buzzing sound of mana begins to fill my ears, and the scratching speeds up while getting louder and louder within the depths of my mental barrier. It feels curious and devious, but calm and collected. Whatever is prying into my mental walls just wants to talk. I'm just not sure if I want to hear what it has to say. I take another step forward while letting out a grunt, blocking out the noise. The scraping becomes unbearable as the mist retreats entirely, only to stop, surrounding the dark entirety's head. The moment it stops, the scratching feeling at the back of my head breaks through. It's unbearably loud, then eerily quiet. I hear a deep, powerful voice enter my telepathic link. All I can do is stop and stare as its voice echoes in my mind. Visitors don't come here often. I never would have expected a demon and a dragon to show their faces in a place like this. Chapter 182. I hear words echo through my brain from the figure at the back of the room loud and clear, but I'm not sure I can believe what I'm hearing. It speaks. Visitors don't come here often. I never would have expected a demon and a dragon to show their faces in a place like this. I stop walking forward and raise my sword. The red cloud of mana-infused fog consolidates around what seems to be the being's head. Standing on an elevated stage at the back of the room, it towers above me around 3 meters tall. It's wearing what looks like a black suit of armor. It's so dark that it looks like the shadow of a knight in physical form. The blood-red mana creates a sphere around the figure's head. Continues to speak. Have you come to challenge me? I thought I'd never see that day when dungeon masters went rogue. To think you'd attack a labyrinth at a time like this, defying our leader's rules before the great collapse. Could my eyes be playing tricks? The figure lifts one of its arms, pointing a finger at the wall to my right side. I watch small threads of thin mana leave its jet-black fingers and shoot off toward piles of empty silver armor and wooden crates. The threads attach themselves to the piles of abandoned armor. Then they begin to move. I whisper under my breath while jumping backward to put a few rows of white tables between us. Mana manipulation. That's how it worked before. That's why I was gaining no levels from defeating those guards. The knights outside were just tools being controlled by this ominous figure's mana. The armored suits begin to glow, then stand up on their own, covered in a dense layer of mana shielding. The shadow figure speaks up again. You may leave now. I'm not one to fight my own kind over a meaningless break-in. I tighten my gaze, watching the boss at the back of the room and keeping an eye on its new minions. Continues to speak through our link. Unfortunately for you, the dungeon master will be hearing of this. I must report all oddities. The manipulated suits of armor stand guard and the shadowy figure doesn't move. I smirk, finally replying. You're the behemoth? My smile turns into a chuckle. I thought you'd be a lot bigger. The clang of metal armor rings out in the room as the monster before me breaks its thin threads of mana that were previously keeping the guards upright. It takes a mighty leap, jumping off the stage above to drop down in front of me. My eyes are locked straight, and my sword is fully charged, but I continue to sidestep through the white tables, keeping my distance of about 15 meters away. It hits the ground with a loud thud, cracking the stone tiles and sending a shock wave through the ground. Its deep voice rings out in my head as the monster moves closer. I can't see its face through the cloud of red fog, but I can feel a curious, evil gaze. I keep all my stat-boosting skills fully active, glowing red and gold while drinking a mana potion to re-up my MP bar. The moment I raise the glass bottle, the anonymous figure speaks again with a lighter tone than before. A potion? You're a human, aren't you? Now, this is quite a surprise. I finish my bottle, replying through my link. I am. And you're the lower floor boss, are you not? Pauses for a moment, then lets out a slow laugh. I am. Straight to business it is. You're the first one in over half a century to challenge this floor using those unique skills. Telepathy and a plundering ability. From a human. It laughs loudly and slowly while I grit my teeth, continuing to sidestep through the tables, trying to get a good angle on the monster as it walks around, crushing more and more stone tiles with each step, showing no urgency to fight me. It seems this monster has some self-control. Most bosses are mindless beasts that attack anything in sight. This one seems to have free will. It doesn't matter much to me, though. I reply, that's all I needed to hear. You're the boss, so I'll defeat you. I watch the knight-shaped shadow gaze up at the ceiling, fully exposing its left side. I air-step forward, aiming my charged sword directly at its weak spot. It's standing in the middle of the banquet hall without a weapon or a shield. It has let its guard down because it thought I was on its side. This is the perfect time to strike. I let out a 1000 MP slash from less than 10 meters away just moments after it speaks its last word. The dark crescent of fire rockets toward the floor boss without making a sound. It doesn't move a muscle, the boss just stands completely still, blissfully unaware of my deadly approaching strike. As my attack gets closer, I feel the ground rumble beneath my feet. The stone tiles next to the shadowy outline begin to ripple like water, and the perfectly square-shaped flooring begins to twist and turn. With my all-seeing eye active, I watch mana pour out of the monster's arms and legs, saturating the floor below it. The air and dungeon mass all around this creature waves and churns as my attack nears. The stone floor rises from the ground in a liquid form, wrapping around the dark figure's legs and climbing up its torso. My eyes widen as I watch its entire body become covered in a thick layer of stone. Mana threads are weaved in and out of the material in such a fine grid-like pattern that I can barely tell the difference between a mana shield and the rock it's manipulating into a stone suit of armor. Now, standing over 4 meters tall, a gray suit of stone armor turns to me. It molds its right arm into a double-sided stone blade to counter my incoming attack. It coats its weapon in a dense layer of shielding and thrusts it upwards as my black blade makes contact with its stone armor. Without a hint of resistance, my incoming strike is deflected into the sky. It spins out of control, cutting through the glass ceiling above and flying off into the dungeon's open air. I gulp as I just witnessed all of this go down in fractions of a second. This monster went from a defenseless shadow talking smack to a stone knight ready for war. The deep voice of the floor boss rings out in my head again. If it's a fight you want, then it's a fight you'll get. You better not waste my time. With skills like yours, and the nerve of you to come in here with another labyrinth dragon, you better put up a good fight. The stone armor covering its left arm shifts into a sharp blade as well. A small slit in its stone helmet opens up and dense red fog pours out. I still can't see the monster's eyes, but I know it's staring right at me, so I glare back. Glossy sharp blades of stone line both of its arms, and they're dripping with dense mana. Similar to my own sword, not only are its bladed arms leaking mana-dense aura, but the entire rest of its body is covered in shielding intertwined with its mana manipulation ability. It's nothing like the shielding I saw from any monsters before, not even like Fisher's when I tested my strike back on floor 10. Most shielding is invisible to the naked eye. I'm only able to perceive it because of my all-seeing eye ability. This shielding is glowing crimson red, bright as day. Even without the use of my perception ability active, I'd be able to see its defenses without a problem. The blood-red glowing stone-covered knight takes a step forward. I expect it to crack the floor beneath its feet, but the ripping water-like visual appears again as it seemingly bounces off the floor. In the blink of an eye, the creature lunges toward me with its bladed arms pointed at my neck. I dungeon walk backward about 20 meters the moment my battle instincts kick in. Opening my link with Ember, I give the order that starts our brawl. Run. This is a battle between the floor boss and me. It has 2 skills that I'll need for future fights, and I want to defeat it fair and square, then steal its power. My eyes light. From across the room, the stone knight comes charging toward me. Its red glow reflects in my eyes as my battle-obsessed grin creeps across my face. I run forward as Ember flaps his wings to fly high up into the open air of the large banquet hall. The battle against the lower floor boss begins. Soon I'll find out why this beast is called the Behemoth. Chapter 183. I glow red and gold while my blade burns crimson with a black aura leaking from its core. My eyes are locked on the stone knight charging towards me. Its dual blades for arms are covered in a thick red layer of mana shielding. The aura of fog that filled the room earlier has condensed into a smaller form and seeps out from the small slit in the approaching monster's helmet. It takes long strides, bouncing off the rippling floor without making a sound. This must be a perk of its earth-summoning magic. The stone all around us can become its weapon whenever it chooses. Then again, it could be its mana manipulation skill. The entire labyrinth is made of mana. It could just be toying with dungeon mass itself. Either way, I've been training for a moment like this. It may seem stronger than me now, but by the time this battle is over, I'll be on top. Every footstep of mine makes holes in the fragile tile floor as I propel myself forward with wind magic. I zig and zag between the white-clothed tables and gear up for another strike on the gracefully moving stone knight. A 1000 MP attack from a 10-meter launch distance was deflected without a second thought. I'll need to put the pressure on for this next strike. I grin, grabbing a table with my left hand as I air-step by and flip it up into the air. I continue running forward and do the same for the next table, then again and again. The glowing knight stays at a steady pace, gaining distance on me every few seconds. Once it gets too close for comfort, dungeon walk 10 to 20 meters away while continuing my table flipping and zigzagging madness. This deep voice rings out in my head. Do you mock me? You challenge a floor boss, but run and hide the moment your cheap attack fails to do any damage. I smirk, getting a clear line of view of its open back. My preparations are almost complete. The monster is right, it does seem like I'm just running away. It can think that all it wants for all I care. I'm just setting the scene for our battle to commence. While setting dungeon walker points across every square meter in the banquet hall, I've also made quite a mess. Perfect for quick cover during a long and tiring fight. I focus on empty space right behind the stone knight's back, less than 1 meter away from its blind spot. Its left side is wide open again. This time, I won't waste this chance on a long-range attack with low levels of MP. I'll strike where I know it's weak, and with enough MP to shatter its shield. With my all-seeing eye in full focus, I let my mind dive deep into the depths of its shielding to replicate the paper-thin width of its grid-like stone armor. With the 1500 MP stored up in my blade that I've been charging while evading its advance, I dungeon walk in to launch my attack. Simultaneously, the monster opens our link to speak into my mind. Just keep on running and hiding, human. Do you really think you could dash? Its deep voice halts the moments I blip towards its backside. I'm already halfway through releasing my attack before it begins to turn, attempting to block with its glossy bladed arms. My black flaming energy attack comes shooting out of my sword at point-blank range, making contact with its unguarded backside. The flash of white light is blinding, and the intense buzzing sound of mana fills my ears as I'm forced to air-step backward. I don't want to be caught up in the explosion of fire that follows. I propel myself way up into the air, smirking as I hear a murderous roar of a wild beast ring out below me. This battle cry shakes the room. The walls crack under the pressure as flames from my attack explode outwards, and an intense red fog leaves the monster in the center of the room. I continue upwards, nearing the ceiling, shielding myself from the shattered glass that now falls from above. The dungeon sky is now wide open above us, clear as day. This is the first time I've heard the floor boss make a noise that isn't through our link. Sounded like a beast. That roar was nothing like the intelligent creature I've been communicating with. As the flames clear, I get a good look at the damage my attack has done. A large 10-meter wide crater is made in the center of the banquet hall. A dozen tables have been burned to ash, but the stone knight still stands tall. I smile as I see a large crack in its armor. The back side of its suit has been fractured, and a blade-sized hole remains. I landed my first hit. Red mana leaks out and I begin to air-step down while charging my blade again. The damage seems to be pretty bad, and our fight has just begun. While getting closer, my smirk leaves my face, and the blade in my right hand shines brighter. I watch the floor begin to ripple as more liquid stone inches up the monster's leg to heal the crack on the stone knight's back. His voice echoes in my mind. I underestimated you, that was quite an attack. It may have worked well on me unguarded, but you're not going to have as easy a time with me as you may have on lower dungeons in this labyrinth. You're facing a floor boss now. I won't let my guard down again. I grit my teeth, then dungeon walk to the ground floor. I begin my zigzag patterns through the fallen tables, charging my blade for another round. Sure, it can say whatever it wants, but I know that attack did some damage. I'll do it again. My eyes are locked on the stone knight. Stands in place, not moving at all. I focus on its blind stop. Drinking an MP potion, I boost my perception skill to watch for any irregularities in its mana control. It stays exactly the same. It's leaving itself wide open again. Why? The knight's head moves back and forth, tracking me as I blip around the banquet hall. The thick cloud of mana-imbued aura coming from its helmet trails behind it as it shifts its positioning ever so slightly every time I dungeon walk to a new location. It takes a fraction of a second for it to lock its vision on me every time I blip around the room. Those fractions of a second are more than enough time to launch an attack and teleport myself into its blind spot just like before. It takes under 6 seconds to charge the 1500 MP attack that injured it so badly before. I'm fully ready to do it again. Without any hesitation, I blip toward the monster's back while it's looking the opposite way. Swinging my sword upwards, I grin, watching the flaming blade make contact with its backside for a second time. The moment my sword and its shielding collide, I feel the floor beneath my feet ripple. The armor before my eyes disintegrates, leaving nothing but frail stone devoid of mana. My attack slices the melting stone suit of armor in two, but the knight within it twists its body out of the way with ease. My attack flies forward, gliding through the banquet hall's stone wall without making a sound. It shoots off into the depths of the lava-filled dungeon outside. The shadowy knight completely left its suit of armor and dodged to my right side. I dart my eyes back and forth, locking onto its location. The monster points a hand to the floor. Stone from the ground surrounds its arm, and it creates a double-sided glossy blade instantaneously. The knight lunges towards me and swings its weapon at my chest. I grit my teeth, registering the attack, and dungeon walk away the moment its mana-covered stone blade makes contact with my armor. There's a flash of white light the moment I blip away, teleporting across the room. Fragments of metal and fountains of blood fly off in all directions as my chest plate is blown to bits by the impact of its attack. A deep wound opens in my upper chest and shoulder. I let out a grunt as it starts gushing blood onto the floor. I've lost over 600 HP in a single blow. That's roughly 1/4 of my health, and it hardly even hit me. The white flash of light was the floor boss sword breaking through my armor's mana shielding. I have no way of increasing its strength or density. All I can do is channel MP into this set. For now, I'll just have to be thankful it took the brunt of the blow. I focus on the broken armor covering my bloodied chest and shoulder while the black shadowy figure walks over to me from a distance. The floor around it ripples as stone flows up its legs to cover its body entirely once again. I'm down on one knee, gripping my sword, drinking an MP potion, and channeling mana into my armor while activating my self-regeneration skill. The Stone Knight speaks through our link. One hit. Ha! One hit and you're on your knees, knocking at death's door. What a sad excuse for a rogue dungeon master. I thought I'd get to see some real action today. I take a deep breath, focusing on the slowly approaching stone-covered floor boss. My flesh grows back and the blood from my wound stops dripping onto the floor. The shattered armor covering my chest begins to glow with a dim white light the moment I channel MP into it. Just like the time I put this armor on, it feels like an extension of myself. It's almost natural to heal it just like my bloodied shoulder. I use self-regeneration on the armor set and it completely restores its natural form. I smirk, then stand up to face the approaching Stone Knight. I point my glowing sword forward, bursting back into flames while glowing red and gold. Is that all you got? We're just getting started. Chapter 184. I point my blade at the approaching Stone Knight as it makes the floor ripple like liquid beneath its feet. The monster doesn't make a sound as it draws near. I finish regenerating my armor and wounded chest, checking my item storage for HP potions, but not reaching for one just yet. I've only lost 1/4 of my health. I can handle a few more of those hits thanks to this chest plate. The Stone Knight speaks up. You surprise me again. A regeneration skill that allows you to repair your flesh and bonded armor. It's been ages since a human could do such a thing. You are an odd one. No matter, you'll die here and now. With its word of warning, the Stone Knight speeds up its charge. The slow march toward me turns into a full sprint in the blink of an eye at an unbelievable pace. I dungeon walk away, narrowly avoiding its dual-bladed stone arms. I've charged up my sword, but the knight has already turned to my new location without a moment's hesitation. The floor beneath my feet ripples as I take each step, making it harder and harder to keep my balance. The floor boss must be using the mana-manipulated floor as a radar system. I blip away again as it approaches. The moment I materialize back into existence, it's on my trail without a second of warning, just like before. The stone tile beneath my feet feels like it's breathing down my neck. The low hum of mana fills the room. It gets increasingly louder every moment I wait to launch my strike. I watch the ground mold to the approaching monster's feet, propelling it forward. There are waves of liquid stone moving the monster at me with great speed. It's similar to my air-stepping technique, but the boss is using pure dungeon mass to do so. I teleport away with a fully charged changed sword, locking onto its blind spot again. If I can just land one more hit, I'll gain the upper hand. I'm sure the first attack I threw damaged it in some way. There's no faking a roar like the one that came out earlier. That was the battle cry of a wild beast. One that was trying to get out. Although I'm curious to see what lies deep within this mysterious night, I have a feeling it'd be much better to end this battle here and now. Holding on to 1500 MP ready to release, I teleport 5 meters beside the Stone Knight and begin to swing my sword. Its head shifts to meet my gaze halfway through my strike. Then I dungeon walk to its left backside, less than a matter away. With my eye on the prize, I let the mana-imbued fire magic deep within my sword fly. The second it leaves my blade, it's destined to hit. Even with the monster's incredible speed, it can't dodge and attack this quickly at such close-up range. The only thing it can do is brace for impact or attempt to block. I smirk, air-stepping backward. I remember what happened the last time this strike hit, and I don't want to be anywhere nearby when it explodes again. The knight turns, sensing my presence almost immediately. It whips its left arm in the way of my strike, attempting to block the attack from reaching its blind spot. A bright flash of light blinds my vision of the master as I continue to airstep upwards. After the blinding light, a dark explosion of flames follows, and the devastating roar from that beast within rattles my eardrums again. The entire room shakes. Through the ball of fire, I witness a thin pillar of rock jut out from the center. Riding the top of it is a red glowing knight in a suit of stone armor. Its left arm shattered to pieces. Only a faint red glow and a black shadowy outline underneath remain in the place where its bladed arm was before. The liquid pillar of stone begins to flow up its leg and consolidate around the arm simultaneously as it shoots up towards me. I see red mana-imbued aura leak out for a moment, but it's all trapped back inside seconds later as the Stone Knight's arm completely closes back up good as new. I grit my teeth, air-stepping to the side while charging my blade again. It follows, riding its pillar of stone with ease, following me high up into the air. It's tracking my movements and gaining on me much faster than I can fly. I dungeon walk down to the ground floor, far off from the explosion on the opposite side of the room. It instantly changes directions the moment my feet touch the rippling stone-tiled ground. This confirms my hunch that the floor beneath me is being used as an enemy detection system. I look around to watch the walls begin to waver and the entire room twists and turns like it's alive. This monster has me surrounded. The Stone Knight flies downward, letting out a loud, slow laugh before speaking through our link. Another fine attack, but now I know all of your tricks. With an attack that needs to be charged, you'll have no way of breaking through my armor before I take you out myself. Run all you want. This will be your end. The mana-dense red aura trails behind its head as I grit my teeth and dungeon walk away, narrowly avoiding its newest dual-blade attack. The rippling floor senses me the moment I blip across the room and it's hot on my tail instantly. Every time, I let out a frustrated grunt, drinking another MP potion while attempting to charge my blade again. I hate to admit it, but this creature may be right. At this rate, All I'll be able to do is run and hide while launching attacks on its stone armor every few seconds. It may be let out a painful roar, but I haven't seen any direct evidence that I'm actually harming this floor boss with any real physical damage. This all may just be in vain. I need a way of releasing attacks faster. After all my training, I've progressed so much, but already hit a roadblock mere seconds into this boss fight. I blip to the opposite side of the room again, now with my blade glowing red-hot and leaking black aura from a 1500 MP charge. I lock onto the monster's blind spot and ready myself for a strike. I back up, using a cluster of fallen tables for cover as the Stone Knight stares me down. It lets its pillar of stone melt back into the ground and begins walking towards me slowly. Its arrogant, deep voice echoes in my mind as I think of a plan. Come on, launch another attack. I dare you. Its slow laugh mocks me as my all-seeing eye scopes out the battlefield for anything to lock onto that will help. I need to land more than one critical hit on this beast before it recovers. There has to be a way. It approaches. I take a deep breath, then let out a whisper. I guess it's already come to this. I smirk, then begin swinging my blade. With an instant teleportation to the monster's lower left side, a dark crescent of mana leaves my sword. The Stone Knight senses me behind it, turning its bladed arm to instantly block my strike. It knew I was coming, but this is what I was betting on. A white flash of light shines between us, and I air-step backward to avoid the explosion of dark flames. This is just like before. Through the fire, like a picture-perfect replica of our last encounter, the knight jumps up through the fire below. This time, it seems to be laser-focused on me with its right arm outstretched. It's using most of its power to propel its body upward. The left arm that took the brunt of the blow is leaking red mana, healing up, but not quite as quickly as before. It's much more focused on catching me. I whisper under my breath while slowing my momentum. Getting a bit overconfident, I see. I reach into my item storage and grab a small black gem, throwing it into my mouth without a moment of hesitation. This Stone Knight has every right to be overconfident. As it said before, my attacks take way too long to charge for it to be worried about another so soon. That is, unless I were able to drastically increase my attack speed and power in an instant. I stop in midair, about 30 meters above the ground as I feel the strengthening fragment I just consumed begin to activate. The upward charging Stone Knight doesn't slow for a second. I let out a yell, ready for battle. The dark flames surrounding my body double in size, and the red and gold aura buzz with much greater intensity. My blade instantly fills with MP and glows bright red. A deadly black aura spills out of it as it begs to be released on the approaching beast below. Energy courses through my veins as I feel the near-unlimited link to the Void Creeper's realm open up in my chest. Mana flows through my veins and I begin to feel invincible. I point my sword downward and airstep at the approaching monster. In a free fall, I swing the glowing blade across my body, letting a 2000 MP slash fly. Now the real battle begins. Chapter 185. The full power of a strengthening fragment surges through my veins as I fall toward the approaching stone-armored floor boss. The warm sensation of dense mana fills my chest and starts pumping through my veins to fill my whole body with energy. I stare down at my opponent with newfound hunger to kill. Its left arm leaks red aura and it points its glossy dual-sided blade at me. This monster is focused on one thing and one thing alone: catching me and finishing this fight. Unfortunately for it, I have other plans. Over the last 3 seconds, my attack power and charging speed have more than doubled. The full power of a Titan's domain is at my fingertips. I plan on using every last drop of MP that I can harness. I've grown a lot since the last time I tried one of these so-called war drugs. Now is the perfect moment for me to test one out in full battle mode. Gritting my teeth and smiling ear to ear, I leave a ripping heat wave of dark fire residue behind me as I freefall in at the monster below. In the blink of an eye, my sword is glowing red and leaking dense black mana, charged up with over 2000 MP. My eyes are locked on the Stone Knight, and I swing my blade across my body as I fall closer and closer to the murder-hungry floor boss. The dark crescent of flames erupts from my sword, and I stay close behind, pushing the attack forward with my blade. My glowing weapon collides with its glossy double-sided blade on the monster's arm. I watch its mana shielding crack beneath my sword's pressure on impact, and the stone coating around its right arm shatters from the blow. Mana-infused fog seeps out, and I follow through with my swing, thrusting with a heavy downward motion. I've made it through the first layer of mana shielding and cracked through its armor of stone. I'll slice its real arm below in two in a single strike. This monster won't know what hit it. As its armor shatters away, my fiery sword hits something hard. Too hard. I grit my teeth and push down with all my might, letting out a yell and fully releasing the 2000 MP blade of jet black advanced fire magic at the monster's unprotected right arm. It doesn't budge at all. More red aura seeps out from the broken stone armor, and I hear the ear-piercing cry of a wounded beast. The buzzing twang of mana on mana and the monster's roar both echo throughout the banquet hall. The walls and ceiling shudder as sound waves threaten to bring this entire castle to the floor. The monster's right arm begins to move upwards, pushing my blade back up toward me. I dungeon walk to its backside the moment it does, releasing another 2000 MP strike. I smirk as I see it make a direct hit. This one explodes into a fireball and white flash of light as I airstep back. I let out another crescent of mana into the fireball of flames. There's so much power surging through my body. This fight feels like a certain victory. My speed and attack power is on another level. I'll bring this beast to the floor before it knows what hit it. As the monster tries to fly out, it's shot down with a point-blank attack in the chest. Its armor shatters, and a white flash triggers another massive ball of flames. I dungeon walk out of the fire's range, then begin flying in circles all around the beast, releasing attack after attack into the massive fireball that fries this monster alive. I'm burning through thousands of MP a second, using my all-seeing eye to pinpoint its exact location within the fire and shooting off flaming crescent after flaming crescent at the Stone Knight. Over 10 seconds pass and I've launched a dozen attacks into the expanding pit of flames from all sides. All that's heard is the floor boss' murderous roar, getting louder and louder with each strike I land. The room shakes and the grin across my face grows with each successful hit. I can feel the depths of the strengthening fragment in my chest grow stronger and stronger. Usually I'd feel overwhelmed by its power, but right now I feel invigorated. As I let out my 15th attack, the ball of flames at the center of the room begins to glow with a deep red color. My flames are much darker than the presence that is making itself known. I watch with my all-seeing eye as the fog from earlier begins to expand, making it harder and harder to sense the beast's exact location within. I know this trick well, but still have no way to deactivate it. It doesn't matter. I have enough excess power to continue launching attacks even with a blind eye. It lowers itself to the ground slowly and I follow, dungeon walking and air-stepping around in circles while slowly descending to ground level. I release a barrage of attacks into the growing mist, using nothing but my battle intuition as an aiming mechanism. I'm shooting blind. Every few hits still land, but my precision isn't as perfect as before. Most of my fiery strikes go flying through the fog and castle wall, gliding silently off into the open dungeon. The beastly roast of agony finally stops, and the deep voice of the floor boss echoes in my head. It seems you're not as incompetent as I first thought. The room ripples and I hear a mild buzzing sound as the intensity of mana in the air picks up. I'll have to use my true form. I haven't had fun with an opponent in ages. Maybe you're worthy. With my eyes wide, focusing on the center of the now dissipating red cloud of fog, I see a jet-black kite standing out in the open of a burning banquet hall floor. For at least 20 meters in all directions, the fallen tables, abandoned armor sets, and various wooden crates are burnt to ash and smashed to pieces. The floor doesn't ripple, and the knight's stone armor has crumbled to pieces from my barrage of attacks. Its head is still covered in a cloud of red aura, and its shadowy body has small red slashes all over it. The odd creature leaks mana, confirming my strikes were worth something, but not a lot. The small red slashes that cover its body begin to glow brighter and brighter red. As I watch, the energy in my chest that flows through my veins is building up quickly. The strengthening fragment is still expanding and it needs to be released. I burn through MP by focusing on my perception skill and boost the flames surrounding my body as well. All of my buffs are active and I glow red and gold. This isn't enough. The only true way to relieve this urge is by letting out attacks from my sword. It's the quickest and most efficient way for me to use of MP. My eyes dart back and forth as I begin to dungeon walk through the fallen tables, watching closely as the cracks in the Black Knight's armor glow brighter and brighter. The dim glow of red light begins to turn into white-hot energy. I can sense an immense power within. Just through the cracks, the density of the mana seeping out is overwhelming. The high-pitched buzz rings in my ears. It's near impossible to sense what's really within, but I'm sure that I'll soon find out. The beast lets out an ear-shattering cry. It surprisingly knocks rubble loose from the ceiling above. Rocks and fragments of leftover glass begin to fall from the ceiling as I continue to eagerly circle the now fully red and white glowing Black Knight. I'm waiting for a time to strike. It's been almost 15 seconds since I took the fragment, and my fingers and feet are starting to tingle. This is never a good sign. I need to release this power, and I need to do it fast. Gritting my teeth, sweat drops down my forehead as I circle the room, faster and faster, just watching the monster glow while I burn through MP on my more passive skills. If a 1500 MP strike is what it took to break its stone armor, and a 2000 MP strike is what it takes to scratch the surface of its black armored body, then I'll just have to dig deeper. I can't take the weight any longer. With this strengthening fragment pumping me up with power and the adrenaline of battle flowing through my veins, all I can think of is letting loose and allowing the power to take control. That isn't how I'll grow. I need to keep my focus. Clenching my jaw, I blip in toward the red glowing knight and swing my blade. It instantly turns its head to the side, then thrusts its right arm in the way of my attack. An incredibly dense, much darker red mana shielding forms around its black armor, and my 2000 MP charged sword halts mid-strike for a moment. I grit my teeth and channel more MP into the blade, making it denser and thinner with every millisecond that passes. Letting out a yell, I squeeze 250 more MP into the attack and shatter its advanced shielding. A bright flash of light shines and the slash explodes into a fiery ball of flames. I airstep back grinning and satisfied with my attack, but watching with an intense gaze, planning my next move. The tingling in my hands and feet has stopped, but I need to keep this up, or it won't end well. Ember is standing by if need be, but I want to defeat this boss on my own. I charge my sword and dive back in the moment the flames die down and I get a clear view of the knight. Dungeon walking to its opposite side, I swing my blade again with perfect precision. While I attack, I glance at its right arm. Another small slash forms on its armor, leaking out more red mana-imbued fog. I let my second strike fly, it blocks with its left this time. The knight isn't attacking, it's only blocking. The monster is focusing straight ahead, not paying me much mind other than producing shielding to lessen the damage of each attack. Fire expands and the white light shines. The monster still doesn't budge. As the flames clear, I see another gash on its left arm, leaking more man-imbued aura. I smirk, but cautiously continue rushing in with attack after attack. I'll take advantage of an opening, but this feels too good to be true. Its glowing aura grows denser, but the floor boss doesn't retaliate one bit. It just blocks, allowing me to land attack after attack on it. I dungeon walk to and from it, landing more and more blows on the defenseless boss. I can tell it's gearing up for something, but there isn't much else for me to do but attack. This is the perfect time to do so. There's no point in running to hide when I'm making such good progress. The strengthening fragment expands even more as I constantly release more MP. I use up more and more of its power, releasing attack after attack for another 10 seconds straight. I've left another dozen marks on the beast in front of me. The red gashes line its back, chest, legs, and arms now. The monster drips with red aura. It looks like blood. For some reason, it doesn't seem to care much at all. Finally, its voice rings out in my head. You're finished. The fight ends now. I stare straight ahead as the red and white glow surrounding its body expands more and more. The gashes in its body begin to crack open even further, letting out more of its ominous aura from within. My mouth opens up wide as I watch the night itself expand with the aura. Its full body begins to grow. The dense mana within its armor starts to burst out at the seams, and a long white horn starts to jut out from the red mist covering its head. The Black Knight's arms and legs shatter the dark armor, holding it back, and bright red and white glow from beneath shines even bright. Continues to expand. The chest plate breaks and a monstrous figure begins to form from within the light. What was a 3-meter-tall knight moments ago now makes the ground quiver under its clawed feet. I see tough red skin and bulging muscles peek out from the white light, but its true form is still hidden. It's over 8 meters tall now and still expanding at a steady rate. I speed up, darting in between tables, and watching from a safe distance as this beast continues to morph and grow. I can't believe my eyes. Is this why they call it the Behemoth? Chapter 186. The monster continues to grow before my eyes. It lets out a ground-shaking roar more powerful than any of its previous bellows. The sound waves that come out begin to crumble the stone walks and ceiling above. I can feel the eerie sensation of mana begin to spread out into the air. Broken pieces of support structures and fragments of glass fall from above, raining down upon me. It lets out a visible shockwave of red aura that feels like an intimidation attack, but I'm positive that isn't one of its skills. This must be some form of advanced mana control or a perk of its mana manipulation ability. The shockwave can be felt like pins and needles all over my body and deep in my veins. I stop moving for a full second, watching the black suit of armor completely crumble away and fall to the floor as a 4-legged monster grows from within. It falls forward, still gaining size while now standing on 4 legs. A long tail materializes from its backside and a shining white horn juts from its forehead, bending up and back to cover the weak points of its neck and spine. Finally, I get a good look at this monster's face as it expands out from the red mana-imbued fog. Its eyes grow bigger than my entire head and are a deep black color all the way through. The beast glares at me as it shows its rows of jagged white teeth dripping with saliva. Not stopping its expansion in the slightest, the growing tail of the creature hits the back wall of the banquet hall and it begins to crumble and fall. Its muscles bulge and expand, growing large veins that stretch its dark red skin to the point where it looks as if they're about to pop. Its dense striated flesh doesn't even look real. Thick muscle mass lines its arms, thighs, and neck. Even its tail drifts back and forth, powerfully knocking down massive walls with ease and grace. Stone collapses as the monster now grows to over 20 meters long. It's still glowing bright red and white, growing taller and bigger every second I wait. The murderous cry almost looks visible in the air as it comes out of its massive gaping maw. This is the exact roar that I heard from the beast at the beginning of our fight. Now, it seems I've finally met the real monster that guards the 20th floor. This is the floor boss that separates normal hunters from those that the association calls elites. This is the Behemoth. The entire back wall of the room collapses and the monster thrusts itself upwards onto its hind legs. All of the remaining stone bricks that make up the back wall fall to the ground and are crushed under the monster's heavy body. Finally, the red glowing halts, and so does its expansion. The Behemoth in its final form is almost 35 meters long. It towers above me, larger than any creature I've even dreamed of fighting in the past. My eyes dart around the room to spot Ember through the open ceiling. He's watching the battle below commence with a patient stare. Although frozen in awe for a moment, I snap out of it and devise a new plan. I can sense Ember's eagerness to jump in the fight from here. The black-scaled dragon swoops down toward me without hesitation as I make eye contact with my partner. I airstep upwards to meet him in the sky halfway. The Behemoth turns its gaze to watch us meet in the air. Standing on its hind legs, this monster sends out another shockwave that shakes me to the core. I land on Ember's back as I feel the mana all around us twist, turn, and hum with a powerful presence. I look down to see the stone walls of the castle's banquet hall we just left crumble to the ground and turn into a liquid state. The entire castle begins to bend to the monster's will. It roars and moves forward. The ground below bends and ripples as the monster takes another stride forward with its long claws swiping through the air. It attempts to swat us out of the sky. I dungeon walk while on Ember's back, teleporting both of us to the far side of the beast. Instantly, I let out a fully charged strike when we materialize into its blind spot. Just over 2000 MP worth of fire-imbued mana hurtles at the monster's back. Turns with astonishing speed. The beast's dark eyes lock onto us immediately, mere milliseconds after we blipped into existence behind its back. I watch a dense shield of mana form over its bulging back muscles, and my attack bounces off without much resistance at all. There's a dim white glow, confirming that I've at least dented its shielding, but I didn't make it through. This new form that it's facing us in now is magnitudes more powerful than the puny black kite from before. I thought it was the overconfident one, but maybe it was me all along. I shake my head, then smirk, teleporting us to the opposite side of the beast as it swings its tail toward us. We disappear and it narrowly misses us, slamming down on the banquet hall floor below. It doesn't crack the ground, but sends ripples throughout the floor. I extend my all-seeing eyes range and witness the shockwave make the entire rock island we stand on bend and shake. Another roar sounds from the monster as it turns to face our new position. It begins to point its front claws at the ground. My eyes widen as I watch the liquidated castle floor begin to cover its arms and legs. The entire castle around us for at least 30 meters in all directions melts and forms a thick layer of stone armor around the behemoth. Its long white horn juts out of the top of its helmet, and a long tail is covered in a series of linked armor pieces, reinforced by the red glow of shielding. The rest of its body looks similar to the stone knight I faced earlier, just 10 times taller. The slit in its helmet shows off its beady black eyes, and the entire stone suit glows red with visible mana shielding. A roar rings out through another opening in its helmet to reveal its open mouth of serrated white teeth. I charge my sword, riding Ember's back around in the air, staring at the behemoth in front of me. It's truly a monster. Defeating a beast like this will be a challenge worth the wait. I smirk as the stone-covered monster swings its left arm. It's molding the liquid mana-imbued stone into glossy blades just like our last encounter. Just much, much bigger this time around. I reach into my item storage and pull out my wind dagger. Not only does it give me a few much-needed base stat boosts, but it'll also let me launch double the attacks. I jump off of Ember's back toward the oncoming stone monster's arm. I open our link as I airstep toward the incoming blade while glowing dark red from my right arm and bright white from my left. Ember, watch from the sky. Only interfere if necessary. I grit my teeth as a wide grin grows larger and larger across my face. I land with both feet onto the base of the monster's bladed arm, running across it toward its open helmet. The monster lets out a roar, frustrated at its missed swing, but eager to catch me off guard. I feel the air pressure change from the incoming air and the putrid-smelling breath of the beast as I get closer and closer to its open mouth. Channeling the strengthening fragments power into both weapons, I charge up over 2300 MP per blade. Ember swoops down, then with a powerful flap of his wings, passing me on the left side before flying up into the sky. The fight is in your hands now, Master. I let out a yell, swinging both swords, letting out 2 highly refined blades of mana. They head straight for the thin eye slit in its helmet. The white and black crescents of energy are silent as they soar in at the monster's face. It stares straight ahead, glaring and not budging at all. I let out a laugh as the attacks make their way through the slit, and the monster doesn't even attempt to dodge. A blinding white light shines from within the armor, and a display of flames and wind collide with each other, making the explosion grow even greater. I stare straight ahead, eagerly waiting to see the damage my attack has done, while charging up both blades for another round. I instantly teleport to the opposite side of the beast, away from the growing ball flames. The murderous roar of an injured monster consumes the dungeon again. It's followed by that same shock wave of energy that ripples through my veins. I shudder reflexively. I burst into flames brighter to brush it off, staring into the fireball before me. To my surprise, the instant I dungeon walk away, a massive glossy blade of stone shoots out from the depths of my attack's explosion. I dungeon walk upwards to dodge, but my eyes open wide the moment I do. I whisper under my breath. My range is limited. With my all-seeing eye active, I spread out my senses to find the root of this new problem. Usually, when I activate my Dungeon Walker skill, I can see unlimited pathways to all the available teleport points in my mind. For some reason, right now, the only place I can travel is within 500 meters of this beast. That last surge of energy created an odd dome of mana around this island. It glows light red and gives off a similar light buzz and mana consistency of its fog. I can't sense anything outside. Even my perception skill is blocked. This fight just got a whole lot more complicated. Chapter 187. After launching my dual-bladed energy attack and attempting to dungeon walk away, I stop mid-stride as the odd sensation of a dense dome of mana shielding covers the entire island that this fallen castle sits on. The murderous roar of the behemoth makes my head spin as it storms through the ball of flames from my previous attack. Using the liquidated ground, it glides toward me with astonishing speed. The monster clears hundreds of meters of distance between us in seconds. I dungeon walk to the opposite side of the island to avoid the charge. Gritting my teeth, I watch the massive beast turn its body in an instant and come rampaging toward me again. The cloud of fire, dust, and smoke that covered its entire body moments ago has dissipated as it continues to turn around. I start to grin as I see the top portion of its helmet break off, and a large red glowing gash appears on the monster's face, right through its left eye. Flames flicker on the wound as my advanced fire magic residue seeps into its body. It glows white, and I watch the flames go out, but then a red glowing gash remains. The stone suit of armor begins to liquidate again, forming the helmet back in place exactly the way it was. The only difference this time is the slip where its eyes were before is no longer there. This confirms it. I've injured the monster for real this time, and the beast will be more cautious moving forward. I look up to the sky as the behemoth runs across the island with its blades for arms pointed at me in a furious rage. I see Ember high up in the sky, and I'm hit with a moment of panic as I attempt to open our link. Nothing comes through. I try to dungeon walk up into the air to get near, but he's out of my range. The red mana-dense barrier has us separated completely. I dart my eyes back and forth, then teleport to the far side of the island next to the light red mana shield. I let out two 2000 MP attacks. My black and white blades of energy drift right through without a sound. It is nothing at all. I try to touch the barrier with a bare hand, but the closer my skin gets to the buzzing red energy, the hotter it becomes. The skin on my fingers, wrist, and forearm begins to sizzle and melt off the moment I get within a meter of this odd barrier. I let out a painful grunt as I back away and regenerate my right arm's wounds. The behemoth is closing in again. I'm trapped within a barrier with this beast until I can figure out how to break it open from the inside. Ember is stuck on the outside for now, and I can't teleport up to him or open our link. The only immediate way out of here is to take this monster down. I already injured it once. I'll just do it again. While charging both my weapons and air-stepping into the sky to level with the approaching monster's eye level once again, I release a dual energy strike of 2000 MP per blade. As the white and black crescent of mana silently rocket toward the monster's head, I dungeon walk to its backside. I'm fairly certain it'll dodge or block those incoming strikes with ease. I prepare my real attack while it's occupied. Taking almost 2 full seconds, I watch my previous strikes collide with the monster's right arm as it lifts it in the air to block. The red mana around its body strengthens on impact, and my distraction shots are defects into the air with ease as I predicted. Simultaneously, I dive straight at the beast's backside with my eyes locked on its flat stone armor. With a yell, I bring both my weapons across my body, releasing 2350 MP per blade onto its blind spot. I didn't touch the ground at all before this strike. It must have not picked up on my presence. Smirking, the loud buzzing twang of mana on mana fills my ears, and I watch the stone armor under my blades crack with the intense pressure being pushed down upon it. The heavy stone, intertwined with dense red mana, fractures more and more as I plunder MP and push down with all my might. The cracks become larger, moving along the stone. Monster's backside. The moment I break through, there's a white flash of light and a fiery explosion of wind and flames. The monster roars as a 5-meter wide hole opens in its armor and 2 mana blades slash open its back. I let out a laugh as I watch the white and black energy attacks rip into its flesh, then explode into a display of wind and fire. I dungeon walk backward, but am hit with a familiar feeling shockwave of energy. This time, my full body shivers, and I let out a reflexive grunt followed by a groan. I grit my teeth as the wave passes, but my all-seeing eye picks up on the worst part as I come back to my senses. The 500-meter wide dome of dense mana has shrunk to less than 200 meters. My teleport point flexibility has severely dropped again. But that still isn't the worst of my issues. My feet and arms begin to tingle and feel rather numb. It's been almost 40 full seconds since I took the strengthening fragment. The side effects of not using up enough MP are actually kicking in. I'm burning through thousands a second on my fire, stat boosting, and perception skills. But every moment I'm not in battle is a moment wasted on this precious temporary upgrade. This lessened range may be a blessing in disguise. It just means I have to finish this battle quicker. Either I defeat this boss here and now, or it defeats me. I airstep upwards as the furious beast. Its back is still flaming as it liquidates more fallen rubble to heal its armor. At this point, it's crushed every bit of the banquet hall and surrounding rooms in sight. We're facing each other out in the open dungeon air now. The castle is basically destroyed. I can feel the heat of the lava pools all around me, and can even see the flowing molten rock from a distance. I'm sweating and breathing hard, taking in more and more mana from the expanding strengthening fragment as I stare down the behemoth and I fly towards it in the air. My heart pounds faster and harder and I grit my teeth, gripping both blades tight while charging them with as much dense mana as they can hold. The island has become a war zone. With a yell, I let out 2 airborne attacks and it raises its arms up to block. I dungeon walk to its backside. The air is hot and thick with steam, but there's also an eerie buzzing sensation that hasn't gone away since the monster's last shockwave. I reappear on the monster's backside, ready to let out another attack on its unguarded back. The stone armor is still reforming from my last slash and I can see the wounded area. I'll be able to land another devastating hit. I smirk, air-stepping in closer while swinging both of my blades, letting MP flow through my body and into another full power strike. My eyes widen as I see its right arm swing backward and intercept my attack. It guessed where I'd appear in an instant. No, it knew. The twang of mana on mana rings out as my dual energy attack cracks through its stone armor and hits its body. On the opposite side, my attacks that were meant to be a distraction hit its left arm and crack its armor on the opposite side as well. The beast lets out a roar, but it's nowhere near as damaging as a vital point like its midsection, neck, or back. As the explosion ensues, I dungeon walk away. Another surge of dense mana hits me as I reappear. I flinch, and the energy wave starts to burn my skin and insides, similarly to the red mana shelling that surrounds this island. I let out a painful grunt as my HP drops a few hundred points, and I use self-regeneration to heal the internal and external wounds. I look around, and the dome has shrunk again. There's no more than 100 meters of space to move around in here. The air all around me is now lightly tinted red, similar to the fog in the castle before our match even began. My eyes dart around as my all-seeing eye's ability to track mana lessens and lessens. I grit my teeth and whisper under my breath, "This is bad." I hear an echoing roar and watch the beast charge toward me as the red fog grows thicker and thicker, making my virility even worse. Another shockwave of mana hits me and I let out a yell, regenerating my body, but losing even more HP. I'm down to almost half health. This battle has made a drastic turn for the worst. I charge my blades and dungeon walk to its backside to let out another attack. These next few moves will decide the true winner. I'll make every last drop of MP count. Chapter 188. Clenching my jaw, I burn through thousands of MP while using my perception skill to try and get a hint of vision through the thick red fog. All it's giving me is a headache in return. The dense mana barrier this beast has created is shrinking every time it lets out a shockwave, and it's getting a bit too tight for comfort. I'm sitting at just over half health, with a 100-meter wide dome closing in, and a vicious building-sided monster somewhere in the vicinity but entirely invisible to me. I can hear its roar, heavy breathing, and movements from a distance, but the monster is fast and smart. With this limited visibility, it silences its movements when necessary and slips in and out of my range of perception. I need to keep my guard up at all times. This fight just got a whole lot more serious. Swinging both my white glowing dagger and my red shining sword across my body, I start letting out a barrage of 2000 MP attacks over and over deep into the fog. They silently drift through the red mist as I begin air-stepping around, bobbing and weaving through the rubble-covered battlefield. I can feel the stone floor beneath my feet ripple and bend. Before now, I would try flying into the sky to get away from its radar system, but the thick fog-filled air is no different than the floor. It knows exactly where I am, and there's nothing to do about it. I grit my teeth, continuing to launch energy attacks into the heavy fog with only the sounds of a fast-approaching monster as my guide to aim each strike. I know the crescents of wind and fire I'm launching are not strong enough to injure this beast, but I need to continue burning through mana to appease the strengthening fragment while simultaneously pinpointing this monster's exact location. Just over 2000 MP is enough to spark a dim glow of white light on collision. The buzzing sound of mana being released on impact gives me just enough visual and auditory cues to ready my next strike. It's near and coming in hot. I stop my attacks after throwing half a dozen from each blade as I see the white signals of impact come closer and closer. It's time. I charge up both weapons and plant my feet, looking up into the red fog while squinting, using my perception skill to attempt to look through it with all my might. White, red, gold, and black aura grow around my body brighter and brighter as my breathing slows, and all I can hear is my own heart beating in my chest. Moments later, my window of opportunity opens. The behemoth lets out a roar, breaking through the fog and swinging its right bladed arm downward at me. With less than a second to think, I watch the glossy stone blade approach me from above as I Dun-Egon walk away, positioning myself right over the beast's head. I look down at the long white horn that juts out from its stone armor. My eyes dart back and forth until I lock onto a small portion of armor that's opened up just below its extended shoulder. This is only possible because of its downward strike meant to attack me. I smirk, bringing both of my weapons across my body and letting out a yell and two 2350 MP crescents of mana. The white and black attacks soar through the fog, gliding downward without making a sound. The beast continues to lunge forward. It disappears into the fog along with the attacks I threw as the visibility gets even worse. I air-step backward as a ball of flames erupts into my field of view, followed by the roar of an injured beast. I watch the red mana cloud around me waver, then another shock wave rattles me to the core. Freeze up, gritting my teeth, attempting to stay in the sky. This one is the strongest one so far. My eyes open wide as I see the glossy blade of a flaming behemoth lunging out from the fiery explosion below without a moment's notice. The shoulder's armor is cracked and broken. I can see two large gashes in its flesh, but the monster isn't concerned with it in the slightest. It's focused on me. I'm falling from the sky, attempting to gain my composure from the last shockwave of mana and watching the glossy blade of its flaming injured arm come right at me. I can barely see 5 meters ahead, but I know I'm in trouble, and there's not much I can do. Its stone blade gets closer and closer as I burst into flames and activate my Dun-Egon Walker skill less than a meter before impact. Letting out a yell, I hit the hard floor below after blindly teleporting to the ground. I begin launching attacks in all directions once again. All I see is red fog, and all I can feel is empty space all around me. The ground ripples and flows, and the mist that fills the air intrudes my lungs with a murderous presence. The buzzing sound of mana fills the air and clouds my brain more and more every second that passes. I need to keep pushing through. I've injured the behemoth again, but it's not slowing down at all. I don't think I've even touched 20% of its HP. The dome goes silent. I can't hear a thing but continue launching attacks in all directions. Nothing hits. My white and black blades just glide through the red mist and disappear into nothingness before me. I check my health bar, and gulp as I see it nearing 1/4. I grab a C-class graded HP potion from my item storage and drink it without a moment of hesitation. I feel my body rejuvenate instantly, but that doesn't help my current situation as much as I'd hoped. This monster is still invisible to me, lurking nearby. I continue air-stepping around the rubble, letting out 2000 MP attacks in the hope of catching a glimpse of a small white glow, but have no luck. The fog is growing even denser, and it's hard to see more than 3 meters ahead now. I'm covered in sweat, breathing heavily, and my heart is beating out of my chest. For some reason, a grin creeps across my face. I'm in the worst possible situation, but I'm loving every second of it. I'll make it out of here alive. I launch another dual attack from my blades as I twist around a rock pile ahead to watch them both collide with something hard right in front of me. My eyes widen as I watch a glossy stone sword covered in red mana shielding appear from the mist. It's almost like it just appeared out of thin air. Luckily, the collision of my 2 energy attacks gave me an early warning to airstep upwards, narrowly avoiding the incoming stone arm. The moment I jump up, its blade follows me from below. I let out another 2 attacks in the direction of the monster's body to give me a better idea of its exact positioning, then start to charge up my real attack. The moment I see 2 more dim white lights through the red fog, I teleport blindly above their exact location. With a yell, my dual 2350 MP attack makes contact with the beast below. I can't see where I hit, but I know it was a successful shot. I feel the heat of my fire magic erupting and hear the loud cries of the behemoth underneath me. I grit my teeth and attempt to airstep backward, but I'm hit with another surge of dense red mana from the injured beast. I grunt, then let out a yell of agony as the wave of MP makes its way deep into my veins. My skin burns as soon as I'm hit, and I feel my organs twist and turn. Almost 1/4 of my health drops from this single wave. I cough up blood as I'm paralyzed in midair for a fraction of a second. I grit my teeth and see the flaming arm of the stone-covered behemoth's blade come flying out of the fog in front of me. I dungeon walk to the floor, and its glossy blade cuts through the air right where I was moments ago. If not for my attack hitting its armor earlier, covering it in fire magic, I wouldn't have sensed the monster's sword in time. Immediately, I start sending more waves of mana into the thick fog. My arms and legs are starting to tingle again, but there isn't much I can do about it. I've increased my MP output to nearly full capacity. I'm not able to possibly let out more than 5k MP worth of attacks at a single time with the appropriate density and width. The hot and heavy feeling of a strengthening fragment's final moments starts to burn in my chest. I know this feeling well. If it takes over, I'll pass out soon. I whisper under my breath while throwing another dual attack into the red abyss. I have to finish this here and now. The faint white light of one of my detection shots finally makes an impact on the beast. I lock onto its location and instantly begin charging up a new attack. This one has to be big. Letting out a yell, and teleporting blindly into the fog directly above where the light from earlier shined, I release an attack downward with all my might. I feel the final remnants of the strengthening fragment give me a boost of MP, greater than any attack I've released before. A dual strike with just over 2500 MP per blade rockets downward at the monster below. Almost instantly, I hear the roar of a furious beast and the heat of an explosion, but something unexpected happens. Out of the corner of my vision, and entering the perception of my all-seeing eye, one of the monster's massive bladed arms comes swinging through the fog on my left side. I sense it just in time, and begin to activate my Dungeon Walker skill, but am simultaneously hit with its wave of dense red mana. My heart stops as I let out a groan. Another 1/4 of my health is ripped from my body, and a mana-reinforced blade comes soaring towards my unguarded front side. I just landed my most powerful attack so far on the boss, but it was thinking one step ahead. I wasn't fast enough. Its blade makes contact with my chest plate. I watch the bright flash of mana-imbued armor begin to fracture and burst. A white light blinds me as I'm faced with a sudden feeling of dread, until I'm snapped out of it. The explosion from my armor bursting shocks my system and allows me to move once again. One last chance. bursting into brighter flames, and ripping myself out of temporary paralysis. I Egon walk to the floor below just as the monster's blade starts ripping through my flesh. Its long sword covered in thick red mana cuts through my armor like butter, slicing open my chest and lower abdomen. If not for the shock of the armor's destruction, I would have been cut in two. I let out a gasp as I hit the stone ground below. Red liquid pours from my chest and stomach. My feet and hands feel numb, and the red fog all around me is getting thicker and thicker. I can't sense a thing in this war zone, and the buzzing in my ears makes it hard to think. I let out a yell as I close up the wounds in my chest with self-regeneration. My health has dropped below 10%. Every part of my body aches and burns with unbearable pain. I reach into my item storage for an HP potion but pause before bringing it up to my lips. I smirk, looking deep into the dense fog, and activate my newest skill instead. Final Breath. Chapter 189. Final Breath. I activate my newest skill and feel it start to take full effect. This is the stat-boosting ability I witnessed the final boss on the 19th floor activate just moments before our battle was over. It gave the monster an incredible boost in all stats and even its mana control. I grit my teeth as I feel the skill take over. It begins to drain the MP from the strengthening fragment lodged in my chest. The red and golden glow from my other stat-boosting skills gets overridden by an ominous black aura. More and more MP starts flowing through my veins. My head begins to ache and I feel a sharp pain in my chest. My advanced fire magic is consumed by this new skill and shifts its coloring to a jet black hue as well. I let out a yell as the skill, Final Breath, fully activates. The pain is unbearable. Then, I don't feel the boring sensation in my heart at all from moments ago. My headache is gone. I don't feel much of anything at all. My eyes dart back and forth. The red fog that was so thick moments ago that I could barely see a meter in front of me now seems like just a thin mist slightly blurring my vision. Falling rocks and crackling fire can be heard in perfect clarity from over 50 meters away, and the exact position of the behemoth lurking within its mana-imbued veil of fog seems so obvious. I take a step forward. Seems like time has slowed down. All my senses are heightened drastically, but it all feels so natural. The mana being absorbed from the fragment in my chest is flowing through me at almost 4 times as much as moments ago. Yet, it doesn't even feel like I'm consuming mana at all. It just feels like I don't need mana at all. This is Final Breath. I hold my sword in my right hand and watch the red glow and dark flames morph into jet black darkness to match my aura. The wind dagger in my left does exactly the same. My all-seeing eye expands its range and I can feel the entire boss room with perfect clarity once again. Ember is high in the sky and there's hot lava pools surrounding me on all sides for kilometers. I take a deep breath in and out as I pick up the pace and start sprinting towards the direction of the newly located floor boss. Everything around me is silent. The only echoing noises I can hear are the slow footsteps of my own run and the steady breath coming out of my nose. I can see the entire battlefield in my mind's eye. Everything has become crystal clear all of a sudden. The red-skinned behemoth is less than 50 meters away, reforming its stone armor. There's still fire burning on its shoulder and arms. Plus, my last attack shattered a good portion of its helmet and armor on its back. Half of its face is exposed, revealing one of its beady black eyes. The monster's gaze is locked on me as I approach. It's injured, but nowhere near defeated. The power building up inside of me right now is like nothing I've ever felt before. I feel at peace. The near-unlimited energy from the strengthening fragment mixed with the controlled power of my Final Breath stat-boosting skill has made me feel as though I'm invincible. This can't last for long, and the side effects won't be pretty, but I'll use every opportunity one can get right now. Piles of bricks, shattered stones, and burning tables fill my mind's eye as I run through the red fog. I activate wind magic beneath my feet to increase my speed, but black energy comes out instead. Propels me forward all the same. Now, cracking the hard castle floor with every stride I come closer and closer to the behemoth before me. My inner mind's vision shows me the scene in black and white. The only thing that stands out is the dense shielding around my target's body. It's bright red. I hear the beast let out a roar as I draw near. It senses me and begins swinging its arms as I jump up into the air to meet its attack. Earlier in our fight, I would have been on full guard, ready to dungeon walk away at any second, preparing to dodge its incoming swing, but now is different. I know exactly where its attack will land. My all-seeing eyes boosted proficiency from the final breath skill has made the floor boss movements seem slow. I smirk, twisting in the air to narrowly avoid its blade with ease. Just like earlier in the fight, my right foot lands on the glossy surface of its arm. I begin running downwards toward the monster while charging up my own weapons. It all happens in an instant. The moment I begin to think about imbuing my blades with mana, they're charged to full. Dense black aura fills them both in an instant, and it's hard to even calculate how much they carry. Nearly 5,000 MP each, but this mana feels much denser and more deadly than anything I've ever felt before. I can feel its mana shielding crack beneath my feet, and I watch fracturing stone armor fly into the air as my steps crumble its bladed arm. The fiery hole in its helmet lets one black eye peek out. The monster isn't frightened, though. It just stares straight ahead. I'm completely calm as well, gripping both weapons tight and running down the arm of the beast, swinging both swords across my body with the intention of landing a dual energy strike on its neck. At the same moment, I feel the shielding from its entire body begin to weaken. I'm less than 5 meters away. It's an odd sensation. The monster knows I'll hit it soon, but it's decided to lower its guard. I keep my eye on the prize and continue running down its stone arm. My footsteps destroy the rock even more with each stride as the shielding below fades away. Its large black eye stays locked on me, and the boss doesn't move a muscle. I am running at it with speeds over 3 times as fast as before, so even if it tried to move, it'd be futile. Maybe this is why it stopped. It knows it's the end.
No.
That's not it. I can still sense the energy in its body moving around. It leaves the rest of its body completely unguarded while focusing all of the shielding around its neck and head. It becomes denser and denser as I fall closer. It's putting all of its strength into a final block, while I put all of my own into a final strike. I smirk, taking another stride and following through with my swing. Dark black ominous mana leaks from my body, traveling through my blades, and it's released into 2 crescents of incredible strength. Everything is silent, and I watch my attacks fly. Then I hear a voice. It's the floor boss opening our link. Another unexpected turn of events. It seems you'll be the one who steals our power. 2 dense crescents of pure destructive mana come shooting from my weapons and rocket at the horned beast's neck. Its eye stares deep into mine and speaks again through our link as it senses the end. It was an honor to meet a man like you again. It's been 50 long years since a rival for the throne challenged us. The great collapse will be more exciting than I anticipated. As it lets out its final words through our link, I watch my 2 blades of dense mana collide with its final layer of dark red mana shielding. I can tell it's close to twice as powerful as the base-level shielding surrounding its body before. Liquidated stones wrapped in the threads of mana from its manipulation skill are intertwined to make a barrier strong enough to stop any one of my earlier strikes without fail. I let out a laugh mixed with an excited yell as I follow through and fall towards the monster's open helmet, watching my dual strike. Trails of dark mana connect my incoming attacks to the aura that surrounds me. It feeds the attack with more and more power. The 2 crescents grow as the final remnants of the strengthening fragment within me are completely absorbed. My arms and legs begin to fall numb as the full attack finally leaves my blades and makes contact with the beast's shielding. My eyes widen as the behemoth's entire pool of mana collides with all of mine. There's an incredible flash of white light as I watch my dark wind crescent shatter, its shielding like a hammer hitting fragile glass. The fire crescent following takes this opportunity to slice through the beast's neck without a hint of resistance. It glides through the monster's tough red skin and thick muscles with ease. My wind attack explodes as the fragments of its shielding disrupt the strike. This causes a chain reaction of black slides of wind to disperse and interrupt the blade of fire halfway through the boss neck. The explosion of black flames is magnificent. All I can do is watch in awe as I'm thrown backward by the force of my own attack. The final sight before me is the monster's black eye closing and its lips curve up to make a thin smile as it's completely consumed by black flames and blown to pieces. For every millisecond that passes, my senses become more numb. Mana leaves my body at a rapid rate. I fly through the air, sensing the dome of shielding around me finally disappear. A black ball of fire envelopes everything within a 50-meter diameter. It's my own flames, so I'm not burned, but I can feel the extreme heat. It's comforting. Level up, 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 level up. I smirk and start to close my eyes as the familiar level up notifications ring out in my mind. Use absorption, skill, combat magic, advanced earth summoning. Yes. No. Use absorption, skill, combat magic, advanced mana manipulation. Yes. No. More blue text fills my vision as I begin to lose consciousness and fall through the air. I choose yes for each and open my status before my eyes completely shut. Status open. Name J Soju. Level 422. HP 85/2115.
MP 62115.
Strength 1122 plus 1290 plus 987 plus 561 plus 1784 plus 561 plus 561. Speed 1224 plus 734 plus 612 plus 1946 plus 612. Agility 1321 plus 594 plus 1189 plus 661 plus 2100 plus 661. Defense 926 plus 370 plus 713 plus 463 plus 1472. Mental strength 1041 plus 625 plus 416 plus 468 plus 926 plus 822 plus 521 plus 1655 plus 521 plus 521. Skills: absorption, special grade, swordsmanship, combat magic, advanced fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, special grade, spatial magic, item storage, plunder, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, special grade, berserker, dungeon walker, special grade, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, dual wielding, special grade, telepathy, legendary grade, final breath, special grade, combat magic, advanced earth summoning, combat magic, advanced mana manipulation, items equipped, High Ogre King's Ring, plus 60% mental strength, Cyclops Eye Pendant, plus 40% defense, Dark Elf Boots, plus 60% speed, Griffin's Talon, plus 40% mental strength, Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, Desert Troll's Charm, plus 45% mental strength, the Flame Emperor's Sword, Fire Aspect, plus 115% strength, plus 89% mental strength, the Wind Tyrant's Dagger Set, Wind Aspect, 88+% strength, plus 90% agility, plus 79% mental strength, Berserker King's Armor Set, Blood Bonded plus 77% defense, Greater Demon's Core plus 50% all stats, buffs, Final breath. Special grade plus 159% all stats. Berserker plus 50% strength plus mental strength. Bloodlust plus 50% speed plus agility plus mental strength. Extreme strength plus 50% strength. Chapter 190. My eyes shut and the feeling of weightlessness takes over my body. My senses go dark as I fall down to the floor. The warm flames from the blast below envelope everything in sight, and a grin creeps across my face as I pass out from extreme fatigue on the spot. The only thoughts running through my mind as I plummet toward the floor are, I did it. I defeated the behemoth. The curious final words of the floor boss get lost in the chaos of my rapidly decreasing active conscious brain power. Everything goes black. Time passes. Master, are you finally waking? I lie on my back and a light breeze is flowing on my face. I let out a cough and struggle to open my eyes. Everything around me is so bright. There's a pale green tint that fills my vision as I try to visualize my surroundings. I hear Ember speak through our link again. It's been over a full day, Master. You've been completely unconscious since the battle ended. I stay on my back, letting my eyes adjust to the view above me. There are white clouds, but the sky is tinted with an unsettling green hue. I feel hard scales beneath me and catch a glimpse of two black wings flapping on either side of my vision. I'm in the air, riding on Ember's back. I try to move my hand up to feel my face, but my arm won't budge. Letting out a groan, I checked my status to see my HP at under 100 and my MP at nearly 0. My arms and legs feel numb while my mouth is horribly dry. I shiver, letting out another cough that sends a sharp pain through my chest and back. I grit my teeth and close my eyes until the pain subsides. After taking a deep breath in and out, then letting the cool air pass by my face for a moment, I reply through my link with Ember. Well, it looks like I won. Good to see you're all right too. I let out a light chuckle with my eyes still closed. It hurts to even let out a thin smile, but knowing Ember is below me makes me feel a little better. My stomach feels empty, and my skin feels itchy. Everything hurts, but everything feels numb at the same time.
I'm horribly ill.
This must be the worst case of mana withdrawals I've ever felt before. I lie motionless for over half an hour before building up the strength to open my eyes again. The white clouds and pale green sky fill my vision again as I activate my storage skill to let 3 items fall out onto my chest. 2 potions and a bottle of water come down with a thud, landing in the opening where my chest plate is broken in half. Using all my strength, I lift my right arm to bring an HP potion to my lips. Sweating and grunting, I uncork the small bottle and drink the cool green liquid, letting out a sigh of relief as I immediately feel energy flood back into me. After this, I let the empty bottom drop to my side and let my arm fall too. That was exhausting. My breathing is heavy, and sweat covers my forehead, but I need to finish what I started. Letting out a grunt, I reach for the MP potion in front of me and repeat the process. The moment the pink liquid touches my lips, I begin to feel even better. Still, I have to let the empty glass bottle fall to my side and take a small break before reaching for the water. This fatigue is brutal. I begin using self-regeneration, but it isn't helping much. I can't exactly heal withdrawals with simple potions or skills. Usually, it just takes food, water, and time to heal something like this. I reach for the water and drink about 1/4 of it before forcing myself to stop. With a satisfied gulp, I close my eyes again and fall straight to sleep. Everything goes black. Time goes by, and I wake up feeling somewhat better. I open my eyes to see the same oddly colored sky with occasional passing clouds. I immediately open my link with Ember as I struggle to sit up. How long was I out? My abs ache and my joints crack as I use both arms to keep myself steady while sitting up. Ember responds. Only a few hours this time, 7 or 8 at most. I nod, looking to my side and seeing a huge pile of gear wrapped in what looks like a red fabric. It's perfectly balanced on Ember's back right beside me. I hadn't even noticed until now. I clench my jaw and lean over to open the cloth to see what's inside. I use appraisal. The Flame Emperor's sword, fire aspect, plus 115% strength, plus 89% mental strength. The Wind Tyrant's dagger set, wind aspect, 88+% strength, plus 90% agility, plus 79% mental strength. The Behemoth's platinum amulet, plus 111% defense. Horn of the Behemoth. My long dark sword and bright red dagger lay on the velvet fabric next to a small silver rectangle about the size of my palm with rounded edges. It's attached to a tin black string and sits next to a massive curved white horn. I immediately store my 2 bonded weapons into my item storage, then pick up the small silver rectangular object. The Behemoth's platinum amulet, plus 111% defense. It's heavy in my hand, but no more than a centimeter thick, and 5 or 6 centimeters long. The defense buff on it is higher than anything I've ever seen before. It's completely blank and smooth, just a full bar of platinum with an enchantment on it. I smirk, taking off my Cyclops pendant that has a 40% buff and replacing it with this one at 111%. I throw my old pendant into my storage. It holds some sentimental value, so I'll keep it for now. Lastly, I look over at the large white horn. The item has significantly shrunk compared to its actual form during the fight. This is normal for magic items, but it's still odd to me. I look at it closely, activating appraisal again, but nothing comes up on the curious item. All it says is Horn of the Behemoth over and over. Maybe it's a crafting item of some sort, or possibly just a trophy for those that defeat the 20th floor boss. I doubt the latter. All items have some kind of purpose in the end. I let out a sigh, then roll the horn into my item storage and promptly fall onto my back again, exhausted already. Breathing heavily, I open up my storage and take out some fruit and dried meat. I chew on it slowly while drinking more water and opening my link with Ember. So, what happened? Where are we? The dragon gliding peacefully through the air responds in a patient tone. You've defeated your first lower floor boss. We've made it to the 21st floor. Before we were transported to this higher Dunegon, I managed to collect all the item drops and your weapons. I grin, closing my eyes again and falling back to sleep, letting out a last sentence to Ember before everything goes dark. Thank you. The next moment my eyes open, I feel pretty rejuvenated, but still nowhere near fully healed. I'm able to sit up almost immediately and stretch my arms and back. I let out a yawn and bend over the side of the flying dragon to take a look at the view below us. I'm left speechless at the sight before my eyes. We're high up in the sky, and everything around us is stained with a pale green tint. There are white stone pillars as far as I can see. They're thin, just a few meters wide each, and they reach up high in the air. Some even jut up higher than the altitude we're flying, but a majority can be seen down below. The tops of them are comply flat, and now that I'm coming back to my senses, this entire dungeon gives off a low hum of mana from all directions. I turn my head around, taking a look behind me to see hundreds of them. There are white stone pillars everywhere, and nothing else. The more I look, I begin to notice oddities. Some off in the distance seem thicker than others and even have jagged-shaped tops. I can't even see the floor below. There are clouds in the way both above and below us. My hands and feet are still tingling, and everything aches, but I let out a grunt and manage to stand to my feet as Ember continues to gently soar through the sky. I smirk, breathing in the fresh air around me and squinting off into the distance. The labyrinth is far from its end. One floor boss down, many more to go. It looks like after we take a pit stop back on the 10th floor to rest up and check in with the association, there will be many more floors to climb. Chapter 191. I take a deep breath of fresh air as I look out into the pale green dungeon and open up my link with Ember. It's time we head back to the 10th floor. Understood. Ember flaps his wings and glides down to the nearest pillar of smooth white stone below us. With a careful step, I hop off his back and land on the square 3-meter-wide platform high up in the clouds. I open my item storage and Ember flies inside. I down at my arms and chest. My armor is still completely destroyed. My shirt is ripped and the black line from the Greater Demon's Core is exposed on my left arm. I attempt to heal the armor with my self-regeneration skill like I normally would, but things go a bit differently than they did last time. The dim white glow of mana begins to shine, but I get the odd urge to push further with a new depth of mana control that I haven't quite felt before. The white glow begins to turn into tinted red. MP seeps out of my body at an alarming rate as the armor is healed. I can audibly hear a buzzing sound coming from the heavy metal gear. Then, a sharp pain in my head and chest stops me from pushing further. I grit my teeth and drop to one knee on the hard stone surface below me, letting out a gasp and deactivating all my skills. I'm still way too worm out to be trying anything fancy. I take the now completely restored armor set off and throw it into my item storage before standing up straight again. Looking down, I still see the demon's black mark on my arm under my torn shirt. I reach into storage to grab a fresh long sleeve as well as the new pair of magic lenses that Bree gave me during our last meeting. I throw the shirt on and activate the new lenses of illusion. I'll only be wearing these in public. They'll always come off during battle or training from now on. Burning through that last pair was such a waste. Now that my appearance problem is out of the way, I'll need to think of an alibi. I'll head back to the 10th floor inn, but telling people that I defeated the 20th floor boss is a bad idea. I take a deep breath, then close my eyes. Dungeon Walker. The moment my transport skill is activated, severe pain surges through my head, making it hard to visualize where I'm teleporting to. Everything in my mind is foggy, but I lock onto a familiar point deep in the 10th floor dungeon and let myself blip through. I fall to the rocky floor at the base of the mountain I trained at earlier in my labyrinth climb. I spent a few days throwing attacks at this rock wall. I know it well. It seems like in a tired state, tempting to familiar regions is much easier than places I've only been once. I catch myself with both hands and fall to my knees, but look to my left and right before hitting the ground. No one else is here. That's a good sign. I let out a sigh as my headache and chest pain slowly fades away, and the sharp pain that travels all the way down my spine becomes much less irritating. I get to my feet and begin slowly walking towards the inn, thinking through how exactly I'll explain my current weakened state and progress to anyone that asks. It takes me nearly an hour to make it to the backside of the poorly built inn. I can already hear hunters training and selling goods on the small stone path in front of it. Even from just the short walk over, my muscles ache, and my skin itches. All I want to do is lie down, but I push forward and make my way to the building's entrance, opening the wooden door. A few heads turn, but soon after they go back to eating and drinking. I walk forward until I meet the innkeeper's gaze. He gives me a cheerful smile. "Glad to see you're back, Jay. Have a good training session? It sure looks like you're pretty worn out. Need a room?" He lets out a chuckle as I lean forward to rest against the wooden counter. I reply in a low yet relieved tone. "Yeah, a room would be great." Without another word, the old man lets out a light whistle while writing something down under the wooden table and fetching me a key. He hands me the small metal item with R209 labeled on the side of it in thin black writing. I nod and take the room key. "Thanks. I'll be back once I'm rested. If Rylan or Fisher come looking for me, tell them to wait. I need time to recover." He gives me a grin, then turns his head to the stairs beside the counter. "Sure thing. I'll let you rest, kid." I push myself up off the counter and slowly walk toward the stairs. It's already been a long day. My full body and mind are giving out on me after a 1-kilometer walk and a simple conversion. My eyes are almost shut by the time I walk upstairs and find my way into the small yet cozy feeling room. I collapse onto the wooden bed with white sheets and fall asleep almost instantly. Unfortunately, it isn't a peaceful slumber. The full body shivering from a few days ago comes back as I drift off into a half-dazed state of tossing and turning. These mana withdrawals are no joke. I tough it out and get my rest. Eventually, I fall into a deeper sleep. Time passes until I'm rudely awakened. Knock, knock, knock. My eyes open wide as I come back to reality and almost fall off the small bed. I shake my head and rub my eyes before swinging my legs over the edge to hear the wooden floor creak while walking over to the door mid-yawn. Who is it? What's going on? I thought I said not to wake me up dash. The excited voice of a familiar redhead cuts me off. Oh, come on, Jay. Conway said it's been over 16 hours since you got in. You need to eat something. Plus, you gotta tell me how your climb went. I feel my stomach churn as I approach the door handle and lick my dry lips. Apparently, it's been another 16 hours. I've been out of it for almost another full day again. My muscles feel a bit more healed, and my head less foggy enough, though I'm dying for a good plate of food and some water. I guess I've made a little progress, but I'm nowhere near 100%. I fully open the door to see Rylan grinning ear to ear in the narrow hallway. The moment I do, he throws an arm around my shoulder and starts leading me back to the main tavern downstairs. My room door closes behind me as the C-Class starts talking my ear off like I never left. So, what happened? Did you go to floor 19? Did you make it to the 20th? What's it like up there? It must have been tough. I chuckle a bit, realizing what I just accomplished is actually a pretty big deal. He's asking if I even made it to the 19th floor. In reality, I make it to the 21st. I beat the monster that separates normal hunters from elites in my first week of training. Well, technically I took over 2 months, but no one has to know that. I let out a sigh, but can't help but let out a little grin. It's time to begin my facade. I'll take Bree's advice and keep a low profile for now. I made it to the 19th floor, yeah. I smirk as we make it to the stairs and begin to walk down. Tables come into view and the sound of association hunters trading gear and eating food fills my ears. Rylan responds. Oh yeah? How'd you fare against those monsters? I've heard even Fisher struggled with the 19th floor his first couple months of elite training. I nod slowly and reply. Yeah, they were tough, gave me quite the workout. I'll have to rest up before I try to go any further. I stretch my arms and make a pain-filled expression to reinforce the fact that I'm in no condition to continue fighting right now. Rylan smirks. So you're really going to try and defeat the 20th floor booze? I shrug. Maybe if Fisher comes back. I don't want to push my luck. Rylan continues without even registering my response. I've heard stories about a cooldown timer on the 20th floor boss room. Apparently, once someone faces it, they can't leave the entire floor until they've defeated the boss. No new hunters can enter or leave until the fight is over. It takes a full 7 days for the entrance portal to open up again even if the boss is slain. I clench my jaw and tighten my gaze at the words that come out of the redhead's mouth. My mind starts racing for a moment as we make it down to the tavern's main floor. I curse under my breath as I look up to see Conway smiling and setting up a table with a feast fit for kings upon my arrival. The old man waves at both of us and we begin to walk over. This whole situation just got a lot more complicated. If Fisher comes back anytime soon, he'll most likely want to face the 20th floor to complete our weekly quotas. It's not going to be an easy task to talk my way out of this one. Chapter 192. I put on a smile as Rylan continues to hold his arm around my shoulder tightly. We walk over to the nearest wooden table being offered to us by the old cheerful innkeeper. Sit down, boys. It's hot off the stove. Rylan releases me from his grip and takes a seat. I start to sit down as well and the old man continues talking. I know you wanted some time to rest, but I thought you could use a good meal right about now. Was I wrong? I chuckle and take my seat, hearing my stomach gurgle at the sight of steaming hot food and cold drinks in front of me. No, you weren't wrong at all. I appreciate it, Conway. With a slight bow, the kind innkeeper turns and waves as he walks into the back room behind his check-in counter. Welcome back, Jay. Enjoy. I let out a sigh with my eyes locked on the meal in front of me, then dig in. I pay no mind to any of the hunters eating their meals and trading goods on the tables nearby. Even Rylan's presence begins to leave my conscious thoughts as I become fixated on the meal before me. Every bite rejuvenates me more and more. I'm fully invested, body and mind. Over 10 minutes pass before the redhead's voice finally hits my ear. Hey Jay, want to hear something wild? I look up, beginning to feel much more satisfied. I shake myself out of the small trance and sit back while replying. Sure. What's up? Rylan crosses his arms, looking a bit annoyed. Remember those nobles we ran into the other day before you went off on your own? Apparently, they made it up to the 19th floor just like you. They took out a ton of the base-level monsters. Can you believe that? I raise an eyebrow, then rely in a low tone. Humph. Really? He nods, placing both hands back on the wooden table. Yeah, they even passed through to our resting camp with a collection of really rare swords. They must have really killed a lot of them. I slowly nod, thinking to myself. Those nobles didn't seem that strong to me. Their levels were nowhere near high enough, and I've even fought their leader back when I had no mana control training at all. And I was a near-even match for him. Something isn't adding up, but it's not my biggest concern at the moment. He's probably just collecting gear for his family to sell or something. It's none of my business. Although my 10 minutes of bliss while eating were nice, now the real problem at hand has to be figured out. The fact that the 20th floor boss supposedly has a 7-day cooldown timer is rather troubling. I won't take Rylan's word for fact, but it's more than enough for me to worry about the possibility of it being true. I clench my jaw, then speak up. Hey, do you know when Fisher is getting back? I wanted to see if I could face the 20th floor boss. I create a small item storage portal beneath the table and pull out the small white transport crystal the blue-haired elite gave me before he left, then put it up in front of Ryan's eyes. Or, I could face it myself if he takes too long. I still haven't used my emergency exit. I smirk and put the crystal down, but don't get the response I expected. Rylan pauses for a moment, the replies in a softer tone. There's been no word from Fisher or any of the others in his elite squad that left a few days back. They should have returned by now. I nod slowly, catching onto his serious tone. The redhead continues. I assume they'll still want your new squad in training to go out and help defend the northern border. It's just, I'm not sure what's taking so long. If they can't finish the job, I don't know how much your squad will help Dash. I cut him off. Got it. Understood. I take a deep breath, faking a look of concern. Rylan looks upset. Fisher was his student. He's probably very worried about his extended absence. It seems there's some trouble brewing for the association. First, an urgent mission, and now a full elite squad is missing. Sounds fishy, but this all works out perfectly for me. I couldn't have asked for a more perfect turn of events. I stand up, looking down on the redhead, and speak in a volume just above necessary to get the attention of hunters at the tables surrounding us with my next line. Rylan, I'm gonna face the 20th floor boss. I may not win, but at least I'll know the difficulties ahead. I'll make sure to say hi to Fisher when I see him in the Dark Continent soon. I'm sure he's fine. The redhead shows me a thin smile and perks up a bit. Letting out a sigh, I sit back down and Rylan relaxes as well. We finish up our meal, share small talk about the association, and I throw the white transfer crystal back into my storage after repeatedly assuring Rylan that I'll use it if I get into any trouble while on the higher floors. In reality, I plan to use it no matter what. If that boss room is actually closed off, using the crystal to transport away will be the perfect excuse. I can just say I ran from the fight and that's why the room is closed for any future hunters that try to enter. Simple, but I don't see how it won't work. My soreness and MP withdrawal effects are much less noticeable by the end of our feast. I can fight at 40 to 50% now if I needed to. It's great progress, but it feels like it'll take a while to regain my full capabilities. This won't be a quick recovery, time will tell. I let out a satisfied sigh and turned to Rylan. Well, now is as good a time as ever for me to get going. Don't you think? With a smirk, I stand up from my chair at the table and put out my hand for the redhead to shake it. He replies, standing up and shaking my outreached hand. Why, you're leaving already? I give him a firm nod. Might as well. I'm fully rested and have a full stomach. There's no better time to start my journey. I turn around to see the old innkeeper come out from his back room right on cue. I take the small metal key out of my pocket as we make eye contact and throw it at him from a few meters away. Appreciate you, old man. I'll be out for a while. Conway catches the key and gives me a firm nod. I turn back to Rylan. He gulps. I'm starting to understand why they picked you to become an elite. You never take a break, do you? I chuckle, turning to the door. I guess not. The red-headed hunter waves. Hey Jay, good luck. I nod, replying while walking through the tables full of low-level C-class hunters. Thanks for showing me around Rylan. If I'm not back soon, I'm sure we'll still meet again. The poorly crafted wooden door swings open and I walk out into the open air of the dungeon. Making a quick right turn, I make my way around the back side of the inn and begin trekking deep into the 10th floor. Once out of sight, I dungeon walk upwards. I prepare myself for the sharp pain and exhaustion that follows, but my real reaction isn't as bad as my mental image. I feel a slight headache for a fraction of a second, and my breathing gets a bit healthier the moment I blip back into reality, but it fades away quickly. I've healed enough to dungeon walk without much trouble. This is good. Although I'd love to check out the 20th and confirm my suspicions as soon as possible, I still have a mana collecting quota to fill. I need over 20k MP worth of crystals before I think about going back to the association. I teleport up to the High Ogre dungeon. These will be low 300 leveled monsters. Easy for me to kill, but strong enough to drop decent loot. It shouldn't take more than a few hours to farm what I need, even in my current state. I take a deep breath and get to work. Pulling out my sword and activating my enemy detection skill, I find my first target and teleport over to it. It's a high orge, nothing too special. Nearly 4 meters tall, wearing a full suit of lightweight armor, and wielding its own long silver sword. I channel a few hundred MP into an attack and let it fly, slicing the ogre in two without a hint of resistance. It falls to the floor moments later, hardly even registering that an attacker appeared. I slowly walk over to its corpse and wait for the monster to dissolve. A new window of blue text fills my vision. A grin creeps across my face as I read what it says. Use Advanced Mana Manipulation. Advanced perk. Temporary minion. Enter desired level. 0 to 422. Yes. No. Chapter 193. I stare down at the defeated High Orge at my feet, and a new blue text window fills my vision. Use Advanced Mana Manipulation. Advanced perk. Temporary minion. Enter desired level. 0 to 422. Yes. No. I whisper under my breath. Mana manipulation? I open my status, checking to confirm that I have 2 brand new advanced combat magic skills. Mana manipulation and earth summoning. I remember absorbing both abilities, but testing them out has been the last thing on my mind. I've been more focused on healing up and making sure the association doesn't find out about my accelerated progress too fast. Testing the full range of my power was going to wait until I could actually use the power without these painful headaches and chest pains. I blink a few times, then turn back to the glowing blue screen that hovers over the defeated monster. I smirk, remembering the nights I fought before the floor boss appeared. This must be the same ability. I select 300 for a level, then choose yes. Immediately, my right hand begins to glow red, and I feel the sensation of mana leaving my body fast. Checking my status, I watch my bar go down a few hundred MP. Thin pink threads leave my red glowing hand and begin floating through the air before connecting to the top of the dead ogre's head. As they connect, the strands turn white, then go completely invisible to the naked eye. The thin strings of mana begin stitching the ogre's sliced body back together, and I watch the monster stand back up to its feet. The beast's eyes are open, but there's no sign of life. It grips its sword and stares forward without moving a muscle. A new blue screen fills my vision. Temporary minion level 300. Deactivate. Yes and no. I look the monster up and down in awe. I can feel the mana that was sucked out of me during the activation flow from my fingertips and into the body of this lifeless creature. I close my eyes, then lift the ogre's arm carrying its sword with only my mind. I open my eyes and it does exactly what I pictured it would. I smirk, then picture the monster taking a step forward. It does instantaneously, making the ground crunch under its feet. I let out a chuckle, making the mana thread connected to its head twist and turn. The 4-meter-tall monster effortlessly moves to my every command. It feels like an extension of myself, almost as if I'm the one in its body, making every movement with exact precision. The only downside I feel is the further away it gets, the less precise and clear the connection becomes. The longer I stay in control, extra MP is also being used to maintain the connection. It's a small amount, but enough to set my headache in motion again. Before I can do much more testing, the corpse of the beast begins to dissolve. As its body disintegrates, it leaves behind a single mana crystal and my bond is severed. The thin strand of mana connecting me to the creature fades into thin air. I nod with tightened lips, letting out a sigh and collecting the dropped crystal, and throwing it in my item storage. Makes sense. This new temporary minion perk must only work on freshly defeated opponents. That doesn't explain how the 20th floor boss imbued its mana into all those armor sets. I'll have to do more testing when I'm at full strength. In the meantime, I can still try a few more things. I activate advanced mana manipulation again along with my all-seeing eye. The entire Dungeon lights up in my mind's eye and I'm overwhelmed with the view. For nearly 10 meters in all directions, I feel the mana following through the ground and air around me, just like it would through my sword. I'm able to control all of it. I gasp, as a sharp pain runs through my chest and up into the back of my head. A ringing sound begins to fill my ears and slowly gets stronger and stronger until I'm forced to deactivate all my skills. Gritting my teeth, I curse under my breath. These side effects and mana withdrawals are really holding me back. For a moment there, it felt like I was nearly invincible. It felt like I could have warped the mana beneath my feet into anything I wanted. I swallow hard as my headache fades and I drink an MP potion. My bar fell over 1000 MP from just that attempt. I finish up the pink liquid and throw the empty glass bottle back into my storage. I'll try something a bit more simple. I activate my advanced earth summoning magic next. This one feels much easier to control. It's very similar to my fire summoning actually. I lift my right hand up in the air and a small ball of stone begins to form in my palm. It floats effortlessly in a liquid state, just like how the behemoth turned the castle floor into its personal malleable matter. I grin, then start shifting the small light brown ball of stone into different shapes. First a sphere, then a cube. Next, I form the liquid matter into a small stone dagger and a thin brown arrow. Finally, I shape the rock back into a sphere and drop the stone to the ground. Thud. It hits the floor and I deactivate my skill. The mass stays put, but my MP bar has dropped about 100 points. My headache starts to come back, but it fades before it becomes anywhere near as bad as my last attempt. Using a few hundred MP at a time seems to be just fine. I'll keep that in mind. Dungeon Walker. I teleport to the nearest high ogre and get back to work. After spending 3 hours farming, I manage to collect the required 20k MP worth of crystals for my quota. Once finished, I find a secluded area up on a high peak to take a break. There, I contemplate my next moves while enjoying a meal of fruit, meat, and water from my item storage. Another 2 hours pass and my mind is made up. It's time to see if the cooldown timer is real or not. If it is, now is as good a time as any to use that transport crystal. I stand up and put away all my food and water, gripping my sword and dungeon, walking to the small narrow hallway between the 19th and 20th floors. The stone around me feels cold, and my footsteps echo as I start to walk forward. This hallway is much darker than last time without Ember's flames to guide the way. Another thing it's lacking is the floating gray boss room portal at the backside. I whisper under my breath, approaching the back wall of hard stone. Rylan was right. No one can find out about this. I activate my Dungeon Walker skill again, searching for the boss room floor that I'd previously fought on just a few days ago. It's all blank. There's nothing there but a void of mana twisting and turning. It's similar to the inside of a Titan's domain. Teleporting into that is just asking for trouble. There's no guarantee of getting out. I gulp, then deactivate my teleportation skill. That confirms it. The boss room has been defeated and the cooldown timer is real. No one from the association can find out about this. As I planned earlier, I'll need to fake my failure. It needs to seem as though I've really tried to face the boss and was way out of my league. I need to set the scene. Remembering back to how I actually looked after the battle was over, I let out a sigh and find an old shirt in my item storage to put on and tear to pieces. With a smirk, I activate my earth summoning skill and begin covering my face, boots, elbows, and knees in a layer of dirt. Next, I take my sword and ignite it into flames. I make sure my breathing is heavy before reaching into my storage to take out the small white glistening transport crystal. With a hesitant look only my face, I summon a glossy sword of stone similar to the one the knight used in battle. Of course, mine is much smaller and doesn't have a hint of mana shelling lining it. Closing my eyes, I send it flying into my side, making sure to miss any vital spots. I let out a grunt as HP falls off my health bar. I whisper to myself as blood drips into the stone floor. It has to be more convincing. Rolling my eyes and letting out a sigh, I summon another glossy stone sword and give myself 2 more slashes. They aren't bad wounds, but they look deep enough to the untrained eye to be legit. I'll just drink an HP potion before anyone gets too close to examine me. Fisher said to use this crystal if I get into any trouble during my training. I assume the transport point for these items is going to be in a semi-public association-owned area, so I'll make sure to dress the part. It's now or never. My headache is starting to kill me, and the ringing in my ears is getting unbearable. I take out an HP potion and throw it in my back pocket. Without another thought, I grip the white crystal hard in my left hand and it shatters to pieces. I feel a warm energy envelop my entire arm. It travels up to my shoulder, then to my chest, and soon flows through my entire body. My vision goes white, and the feeling of transportation magic forces itself over my whole body. Seconds later, I fall to the ground. My sword hits a hard white flooring with a loud clang as I catch myself with 2 open palms. My ears are still ringing and my breathing is heavier than ever. My vision is blurry, but I can see my own crimson blood dripping onto a glossy white surface below me. I let out a gasp that slowly turns into a chuckle while staring at the ground. I made it! My blurred vision starts to finally come back to normal and I stand to my feet. Taking the HP potion out of my back pocket, I start looking around to see where exactly I've landed. An audible gulp comes out of my mouth as my gaze lifts from the pure white flooring to making eye contact with myself. I'm standing in a square room, about 5 meters wide, with 3 full-walled mirrors and a heavy metal door on the 4th. Both the floor and ceiling are covered in dense white mana shielding, and there doesn't seem to be an easy way out of here. I murmur under my breath while my eyes dart back and forth. This is not what I was expecting. Chapter 194. I stare at myself in the mirror, then turn to see my reflection in 3 different angles. The first thing that comes to mind is the thought of someone staring back at me from the other side. It may be an overly paranoid assumption, but it feels pretty reasonable to me right now. The only break I get from the nauseating sight of mirrors infinitely reflecting my image back to me is a heavy metal door on the 4th wall of the small room. It has no handles or keyholes. It's sealed off completely, most likely locked from the outside. I activate Conceal to hide all my skills and odd items except for my fire magic and blade handling skills. I'm back into association territory. It is best to stay on my best behavior. Thick red liquid continues to drip from my chest and abdomen. I have a few pretty deep wounds, and my HP bar is slowly ticking down as I lose more blood. I uncork the HP potion in my left hand and drink it at once, still looking straight at myself in the mirror to my right. I feel the cool green liquid start to heal my wounds, but it mostly just regenerates my HP. There's still severe visible scarring and it's painful to the touch. A quick self-regeneration would heal me up fine, but I'm still unsure if I'm being watched. It's better if I save using any suspicious skills for another time. I squint my eyes and step closer to the mirrored wall on my right side. Less than half a meter away from the reflective surface, my gaze darts back and forth. Then I activate my all-seeing eye. The moment I turn my ability on, the pain in my head returns and I'm hit with an unsettlingly claustrophobic feeling. All I can sense is the room I'm standing in. The walls around me are shielded off with dense mana thicker than I can perceive in my weakened state. I cut my skill off before my headache gets any worse, and let out a sigh. This all makes sense, but it's a bit nerve-wracking. Fisher did say if I were to transport here while touching a monster, it would come with me. The association must have safety precautions to keep whatever transports in here contained until dealt with. I gulp, then bring my hand up to the mirror before me and knock on the glass. An odd sound rings out. It's a combination of a muffled buzz being interrupted by each tap and a light echo following. My gaze tightens even more and I place a finger up against the mirrored wall. It looks like my index finger is touching my reflection exactly. There's no gap at all. This is much different from my mirror back home. I bring my hand away from my reflection again, then ignite a small flame in the palm of my hand. It burns dark red, and the area of glass nearby begins to glow slightly, like the light is shining through. I clench my jaw and look around, then yell out loud, "Hey! I know you're watching. What is this place?" My head begins to spin as I piece everything together. This must be a trap, right? I'm in a mana-shielded cell with a two-way mirror on every side. I curse under my breath. This is the director's doing, isn't it? Gritting my teeth and ignite my whole arm into dark flames, then reach down to grab my sword. I charge the remaining few hundred MP into an attack and start to run at the silver door at the back of the room. I'm filled with annoyance and anger, and can only blame myself for dropping my guard and just blindly transporting to wherever this crystal took me. What was I thinking? I begin to swing my sword at the silver door, but before I can release an attack, I hear an unfamiliar voice ring out from all directions within my tiny cell. It's a man's voice, but it's very soft and calming. "It's nice to meet you, Jay. Please do calm yourself down. I'll open the door for you momentarily. There's no need to break it down." I stop mid-swing, looking up at the ceiling. "Who are you? What is this place?" There's silence for a few seconds. I leave my sword charged and aimed at the heavy silver door. Click. It swings open towards me. I take a step back, still keeping my sword locked straight ahead, as I hear the same soothing voice that echoed throughout the room come out of the door. "I wasn't expecting company so soon. It seems you were rash enough to face the 20th floor boss just like the director predicted. He's really never wrong." A tall, pale-skinned man with thin black-framed glasses and short silver hair walks out from behind the door. He's wearing a long, dark purple cloak, with black pants and shiny, dark-colored boots. If I had to guess, he's not more than 30 years old. The young man greets me with a genuine smile and looks me up and down before putting out his right hand for me to shake it. "Nice to finally meet you in person. I've been hearing all about you. The name's Leo." I examine him closely, activating my inspect and appraisal skills while still pointing my flaming sword straight at his chest. LV 308. Active items. Enchanted Cloak, plus 103% mental strength. Active skills. Artificer, legendary grade. My gaze tightens even more as I concentrate on the interesting individual in front of me. He's a much lower level than me, but has a legendary skill, Artificer. I've never seen anyone with this ability before. The man speaks up again, turning his body to let me see down the hallway that stretches out through the open door. It's long, with dark walls, and is dimly lit. "Come on, I won't bite. Let me take you up to the surface. I have a few things to fill you in on after all." I gulp, watching him pull his hand back and shrug as I continue to point my flaming sword upward, now pointing straight at his head. "You still haven't answered me. What is this place? Where am I?" The man tightens his gaze on my sword, then looks down at the floor covered in my blood. He lets out a thin, nervous smile. Then it evolves into a chuckle before he responds. "We're in the association's HQ, right in the center of the capital. I assume you used one of my transport crystals. I've heard stories about the 20th floor boss, but never made it past the 15th floor myself. I'm more of a craftsman, an artificer actually dash. I cut him off as a few things begin to piece together in my mind. I take a step closer. Your transport crystals? What do you mean by that? He nods, gulping, and motioning for me to move the sword away from his neck while continuing to eye the floor covered in my blood. I really mean you no harm, Jay. As I said, I'm from the association, same as you. We're on the same team here. It looks like you were bleeding badly. Do you need anything else before we make our way to the outside world? My eyes continue to dart around as he shows me the open door behind him again with a genuine look of concern for himself and possibility even me as well. I thrust my sword down to my side and put out the flames. He gives me a friendly smile and starts walking out the door while motioning for me to follow. To answer your question, those transport crystals are made in my lab. I'm the only legendary great artificer in the Vice region. After all, I tend to create a few neat gadgets and custom items for higher-ups and elites at the association. I continue to listen and carefully walk through the heavy metal door of the mirror-lined room as he continues. I was going to meet you and your team tomorrow, but it seems we've met earlier than expected. Funny how things work out sometimes, isn't it? I shrug, resting my sword on my side as the heavy door shuts behind me. I follow the cloaked man down a narrow black hallway. There are white lights that shine down on us from the ceiling every 10 meters or so, making it dim and shadowy, but not dark enough to the point where I have trouble seeing. To my left and right we pass many locked silver doors, just like the one I came out of. None of them are labeled with any numbers or text, and they're all locked from the outside. Our footsteps let out light echoes through the long, narrow hallway, and my breathing begins to slow down the further we walk. This man wasn't lying about his class. He's definitely not the combat type. The only thing that irks me is his connection to the association. I've never seen these halls before. This place gives me an eerie feeling. I continue to follow him in silence until we make it to the end of the corridor and arrive at a large elevator door. The purple-cloaked artificer taps his ID against the small sensor next to it, and the silver double doors open up immediately. The card has an association logo and a C-class marking on it. He steps inside and motions for me to follow. Let's head upstairs, we're pretty far down. This may take a while. Chapter 195. Let's head upstairs, we're pretty far down. This may take a while. Leo, the C-class legendary great artificer, looks at me with a kind smile while standing behind the open doors of the elevator. I hesitantly look behind my shoulder, then back at him. He seems nice and is definitely from the association, but this all seems way too convenient. I reply, "We're really in the Hunters Association HQ. And did the director actually tell you I would be here?" Leo slides the hood of his cloak down to reveal his glistening silver hair, then leans back in a more casual stance against the small silver rails in the elevator before replying. "Well, he told me that he hoped I wouldn't have to meet you early, but there's a good chance I would. He's got some scary intuition." Leo sighs, letting his posture relax even more while motioning for me to come into the elevator. "Come on, it's getting late at night. You're lucky I was even here in the first place." After a few more tests, I was about to head home after a long day of work. I let out a light gulp, then take one more look behind me before shrugging and entering the small elevator with the artificer. I turn my back to the wall and watch him closely as he presses a few buttons before the sliding doors close. From what I can make out, it looks like he's entering a code using the floor numbers as keys. 1, 1, 5, 5, 3, 6, 7, 10. After watching and hearing 8 light clicking sounds, I see all the buttons flash blue for a fraction of a second. Once they stop glowing, the elevator begins to move upwards. I bring my gaze back up to the young man's dark eyes, then ask a question. "So, you said you were heading home after a long day of work? I know you make gadgets and items for the higher-ups and elites, but what exactly do you even make? And what's this meeting tomorrow about anyways?" I let out a bit of a frustrated sigh, continuing, "Give me a straight-up answer, please. I hate how everyone is tiptoeing around me recently. Just tell me like it is." The elevator slowly begins to speed up as we make our way upwards. I hold onto the small railing behind me to ensure my balance as Leo responds. Well, like I said before, I'm an artificer. If you give me enough raw dungeon drop items, I can make anything you need. Weapons, traps, custom items, you name it. I even made the B-class graded mana shielding in those rooms downstairs. Most of the newer higher grade shielding in the capital is actually my work. He shows a satisfied, proud smirk. The magical craftsman is almost glowing. He's really into his job. Or a great actor. My eyes tighten. So, why'd you join the association in the first place? Without even a hint of a pause, he responds with a glimmer in his eyes. They approached me while I was still in school, actually. I've always been into gadgets and magical crafting, but couldn't manage to make anything over a high E-class rated item until I joined up with the association. I nod as he goes on and the elevator shakes slightly. The artificer class is rare, so it gave E an edge while career searching. Bigger magical item manufacturers and trade companies are always looking for new talent. There are usually a few people in every major city that have similar skills to me, like blacksmiths or normal craftsmanship skills. He looks up at the ceiling as we continue to travel upwards, trying to remember something. I believe it was almost 6 years ago now. The current director himself approached me and offered a job. Couldn't say no. Soon after our agreement, I was teamed up with a few elites that power leveled me past 300. Then next thing you know, I'm offered an experimental upgrade crystal and dash. I feel the elevator rattle and shake. Then Leo tightens his lips. Sorry, I went off on a bit of a tenet there. Haha, maybe I shouldn't have said all that. He shows me a bright smile and scratches the back of his head. I reply, it's fine. I'm not one to talk. So what? They just gave you a free skill upgrade? Are you in an exclusive contract? Are you close with the director? My gaze tightens even more as I start thinking about his position in the association again. But he replies without any delay and a little chuckle. Close with the director? I wouldn't say so. I hardly see the man once a year if I'm lucky these days. I just get my tasks and enjoy being able to experiment on rare items I would never get to see if I didn't have this gig. His chuckle turns into a laugh. It's not like I'm held hostage down here. I can leave any time I want. Ding. The silver doors of the elevator open up and to my surprise, we're in the main lobby of the Vice City Association's HQ. Just like he said. I blink a few times, looking around to see an empty lobby. There's 2 security guards by the door, both between levels 150 and 200, but no one else. I can see through the glass windows that it's the middle of the night. The sky is dark and the silence is already calming. I step out onto the smooth white floor, then hear the silver elevator doors begin shutting behind me. I turn to see Leo smiling and waving as the doors close. It was nice meeting you, Jay. A message should reach you and your team tomorrow. I'll see you again soon. I stand with my mouth slightly open, not sure what else to say, so I don't say anything at all. We were in the middle of a conversion and just getting to the good part too. Click. The sliding elevator doors shut, and I'm left in the middle of the empty lobby of the association's HQ. Leo seems like a nice guy. He overshares a lot, so I'll make sure to keep that in mind. Apparently, I'll be seeing him again soon. I made it back to the outside world, and have a perfect alibi for failing to defeat the behemoth. This little side mission has been successful in my eyes. Letting out a sigh, I shrug and walk out the front door, giving the guards a head nod while making my way downtown. It must be 1 or 2 a.m. It's dark out, but the nearly full white moon lights up the sky with a dim glow. I take a deep breath of the cool night air and start making my way through the empty city streets back toward the Vanguard Heights. It feels like forever since I've seen this city. In my mind, it's been over 2 months, so it makes sense. This is the perfect time for me to come back. Although I hear some noises from late-night bars and the occasional pass-by, I'm more focused on the starry night sky and the sweet smell of the city's open space around me. Dungeons may seem like they go on forever, but they're limited to a few dozen kilometers in any given direction. There's nothing quite like the real world. Feels so weird to be back. The city itself feels small, much smaller than how I left it the last. Not physically small, just smaller in the grand scheme of things. Every day that passes makes my life and simple worries seem like they don't matter at all. I'm growing more powerful every day. What really put everything into perspective is defeating that floor boss. It's apparently one of the ultimate challenges for any hunter to become an elite. People dream of coming near my level of strength, yet all I feel is the need to get so much stronger. I feel isolated. All these new powers, abilities, and new gateways for accelerated growth recently have made me feel much differently about my position in life. Maybe I'm just comparing myself to the wrong people. Everyone on that 10th floor seemed to be a complacent group of hunters that never feel the need to push their limits and put their lives on the line. Even the elite I met, Fisher. He took years to complete what I just overcame in less than a week of real-world time. It feels like I'm the only one in the world that knows a secret, and it's my mission to keep taking full advantage of this power. I whisper under my breath, I need to get stronger. My boots echo through alleyways as I walk further into town. I peacefully watch the night sky as my luxury apartment building finally comes into view. My whole body begins to become quite sore and my brain gets foggy as my eyes threaten to close on me. My fatigue hits me like a brick wall as I walk through the front doors. It's like my mind and body were pushing it off until I had a safe place to rest. These are my natural battle instincts at play even outside the dungeons. I make my way through the front entrance and am greeted by two assistants. There's one woman at the front door and a man before the elevator, but don't pay them much mind. I get up to my room, take a quick hot shower, then crawl into my loft-style bedroom to watch the city lights shine under the night sky until I drift off to sleep. Chapter 196. I open my eyes and stretch my full body while letting out a satisfying yawn. Looking out the glass window across my living room down below my bedroom loft, I can see the midday sun shining into my glass-walled apartment. Smiling, I hop down to the main floor and start getting dressed while staring out at the city. My muscles and joints feel almost as good as new, but there's still a faint sense of tightness in my back and shoulders. I'm not exactly sure how long I slept, but it hit the spot. I grab an item box and tie it around my waist before I leave, throwing my excess potions, crystals, sword, and a few miscellaneous items into it. My plan is to go to the HQ and hand in my mana crystals to complete my quota. I'll try to meet up with the rest of my teammates if I can find them. It's been a while since I've seen Maria and the others. I smirk. But first, breakfast. I leave my apartment and take the elevator down to the 21st floor to enjoy a nice and peaceful meal at one of the cafes. It's around noon, and this floor is pretty empty. There are a few workers and even fewer hunters. Everyone that lives in this building is signed with the association. Most hunters are out in the dungeons around this time of day. I enjoy my peace and quiet, filling up on a hot meal in the comfort of my own home. Letting out a chuckle, I whisper under my breath while leaving a silver coin on the table before I head downstairs. I've been doing this wrong all along. Wouldn't it be nice to just sit back and relax here all week? The idea is nice, but I'd go crazy in just a few days. It isn't exactly the path I've chosen or one I'd like to be on for too long. Still laughing to myself, I take the elevator down to the lobby and start to walk out. I hear the voice of the older man that greeted me by the elevator on my way in last night. Good to see you're fully rested, Jay. Your company has been requested at the association HQ. You have a mandatory meeting. You're to meet. Well, the guard looks down at a piece of paper. 4 hours ago, actually. I stop mid-step and respond as the elevator closes behind me. Got it. Better late than never, right? I roll my eyes, remembering back to last light. It's probably just a meeting with Leo the Artificer. There's nothing to worry about. The lobby manager responds. Yes, it's urgent. I wish you luck. I nod, then continue making my way through the lobby. Thanks. He waves and gives me a friendly smile. I walk out the front door and the hot sun overhead surprises me. The warmth feels nice. It puts me in a cheerful mood almost immediately. With a full stomach and a satisfied grin, I begin my scroll back to the association's HQ. No more than 20 minutes later, I arrive and walk straight through the front door. Immediately, I'm greeted by a tall blonde-haired woman at the door. She seems familiar, but I've completely forgotten if I've actually met her before or not. The woman looks down at a small silver card, then back up at me. Jay, one of the new elites in training, right? I slow my pace down as the door shuts behind me. Yeah, that's me. She smiles and turns to the backside of the lobby. The rest of your team is waiting for you in the lounge. You have an important meeting scheduled today. We've been trying to reach you for days. I tighten my lips, but just nod and give her a thin smile. Thanks. I'll head back there now. A few heads turn as I walk through the lobby. Some seem to be fresh E-class recruits, while others are seasoned D and C-class hunters. They all have the same wide-eyed look on their faces, like a monster is about to attack them, or maybe like a celebrity is walking through. The small crowds go silent as I reach into my item box and take out my ID to enter the first hallway to the back rooms. I let out a sigh and close the door behind me. Click. That was weird. Scanning my card on the second door, I finally make my way to the mini-market and decide to make a pit stop before heading to the last room. I see the faint outline of a familiar white-haired woman through all the neon and flashing lights of the small shops all around me. As I walk closer, I can see the grin across her face get wider and wider as she waves and calls out, "Hey Jay, long time no see. I thought you were dead or summitin dash." I give her a playfully annoyed look, but it evolves into a grin. This is the first time someone's cracked a joke at me all morning. Everyone else has just been so serious. I reply, "Good to see you too, Sophie. Long time no see indeed," while reaching into my item storage to grab my handfuls of mana crystals. The white-haired merchant woman replies, "Congrats, by the way. I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but it's pretty exciting to see you and your team become the next elite squad this year. I saw the article about you all in the paper earlier this week." I freeze up, placing the pink gems on the counter, then looking her straight in the eyes. "The article in the paper? What are you dash?" Sophie lets out a laugh. "You were in the labyrinth training all this time, right? I forgot. They wrote about how you and your team cleared the C-class exams in record time and were chosen directly by the director and higher-ups on the spot to be this year's elite squad." I tighten my gaze and nod slowly, then let out a low response. "Of course they did." Sophie chuckles again while starting to weigh out my mana crystals. The pile fills the entire desk, but eventually reads out 50093.88 MU. Sophie nods and smiles at me. "Well, you did your part. The rest of your teammates all handed in their portions earlier in the week. Your tablet should update soon." The short merchant woman begins tapping away at her own silver tablet, then looks up at me. "Your team quota has been filled. Now how about that horn? Did you manage to defeat the first floor boss already?" She raises an eyebrow, referencing the horn of the behemoth on my quota tablet under my individual assignment. I let out a sigh and immediately see her roll her eyes in response. "Fell short this time around?" I nod and she continues, "Don't worry about it. I'll mark it as unfinished. Some of the elites from last year haven't even completed that one. I didn't think you'd get it done, but one can dream, right? You're able to request old assignments again whenever you wish. The longer the wait, the lower the payout." I clench my jaw and nod, thinking to myself, I have the item in my inventory right now. It would be easy to just hand it over. There's just something that's telling me not to. I gulp. "Sure, leave it as unfinished. I was interrupted during my training and wasn't able to complete it yet, unfortunately." She smirks and nods, tapping away at her solver tablet again. Yeah. There you go. It looks like you'll need to attend a meeting before learning any of your new tasks. I reach into my item box and take out my silver quota tablet to take a look at the updated numbers. J. Soju. Available credits. 9.4. C-Class. Team Weekly Quota. Pending Task. 0 Reward. Attend team meeting for instructions. Individual Weekly Quota. None. Reward. None. My 5 credits for completing the team task have been added to my total, but the individual talk is gone. That's fine by me. It looks like all signs are pointing toward this meeting. Everyone I talk to keeps telling me to attend. I let out a sigh and show the white-haired merchant a thin smile. Appreciate you, Sophie. I'm off. It's time to go see my team and attend this meeting. I'll see you soon. Sure thing, careful out there. I turn around and wave to her as I walk off through the small crowded neon-colored shops. With a light click, I open the back door to the lounge and walk through. I haven't seen my team in ages. I wonder how much they've all grown. Chapter 197. With a light click, the door from the mini-market to the lounge area, in the back of the association, HQ opens up and the sight before my eyes puts a smile on my face. Sitting all together on one of the circular couches next to the small cafe, I see my 3 teammates drinking coffee and eating small pastries. I begin to walk over and raise a hand, but I'm interrupted by a blonde-haired, blue-eyed hunter running towards me with arms outstretched. Jay, you made it back. I knew you'd be fine. With the smile across my face widening, Maria jumps up in the air to give me a hug. I catch her and reply in a lower tone as I watch Abby stand up from her seat and begin to turn my way as well. She has a happy-looking smirk across her face. Good to see you too. It's been a while. I let out a chuckle, then let Maria down, looking into her deep blue eyes. They seem much deeper and brighter than when I last saw her. She's grown a lot. I use inspect and appraisal to quickly check her level and skills, not bothering to look at any of her gear. LV 391. Combat Magic. Advanced Ice Summoning. The green-haired healer slowly walks toward us. I let out another quiet comment under my breath to Maria before Abby arrives. You've gotten a lot stronger. Maria nods, still looking right at me. You seem like you've grown a lot too. I look away as Abby's voice fills my ears. Hey, long time no see. As she approaches, I blink a few times, looking back and forth at my teammates. They both look a lot older, more mature, almost like years have passed. It's been a while in my mind, but still, it's only been a week in the real world. Their hair looks longer, muscles look more defined, skin is much smoother, and if I'm not mistaken, it looks like both of them even grew a few centimeters in height. Maria wears a dark-colored outfit with silver jewelry and magic items on her wrists and around her neck. As Abby approaches, I notice her hair falls down and is much straighter and glossy-looking. Her facial features are more mature-looking too. The healer speaks up before I can get another word in. Like what you see. I know we've changed a little, but is it really that noticeable? Oh, and good to see you're back here in one piece. I tighten my lips and nod as Abby comes to stand upright next to Maria. The green-haired healer is dressed in all black with green and gold magic items lining her wrists and fingers too. I use inspect and appraisal to get a quick look at her level and skills. LV 401. Combat Magic. Advanced Earth Summoning. Restore. Legendary Grade. I nod, meeting her gaze for a moment too. It's only been a week. Both of you dash. Maria cuts me off, grinning ear to ear and turning to Abby. See, I told you he'd notice. Jay pays attention. Oomph. I let out a slightly confused, but also relieved sigh as I see Maria acting like her old self. It's good to see them again, but there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. My eyes dart behind my 2 teammates and I finally see an unchanged familiar face of our team's long-range archer approaching. The cool and calculated olive-skinned hunter has sat up from the couch area and is walking in my direction. I see him smirk while he yawns, stretches, then crosses his arms. You made it out of the labyrinth after all. Nice to see you, Jay. You look good. Ari walks over and stands beside the green-haired healer, then gives me a firm nod while reaching out his right hand. Looks like you've grown a lot. We have too. I put out my hand and shake his. The archer doesn't look different at all to me. If anything, he just looks tired. I use inspect and appraisal to check his level and skills. LV 393. Spirit Archer. Legendary Grade. He's no different than before, just some level gains. Abby and Maria are the only ones that used those upgrade crystals, so it seems they're the only ones with significant physical changes. I reply with a smile, moving my gaze across all three of my teammates. I'm glad your training paid off this week. Your appearances, Abby and Maria, was it those crystals that changed it? Maria nods happily and responds. Yeah, they made my ice magic a lot stronger as well. I can't wait to show you what this week's training has taught me. We are becoming this year's new elites after all. I've definitely caught up to you now, Jay. I smile and we lock eyes again. Ari smirks and walks over to me while throwing an arm around my shoulder. Yeah, we may be the new elites in training, but you still haven't changed one bit. Over 5 hours late to our first meeting. Come on, enough talk. Let's head upstairs. Abby and Maria laugh and follow behind us as the olive-skinned archer leads us over to the door. I respond as we walk through. Hey, nobody told me there was a meeting today. How can I be late to something I was never even invited to? The door shuts behind us as the four of us make it into the lobby. Yeah, whatever you say. Ding. I catch up with my team, and we share training stories on the elevator ride upwards. It seems like both Maria and Abby have been going through tough conditioning and new skill control training. Each of them was given the same amount of MP potions as me this week and told to use them all. Maria trained at the Yeti Dungeon and farmed charms while honing her advanced magic control work with an elite. Abby mostly trained her new upgraded restore and combat magic skills. Apparently, she has a very rare healing variant for a skill 2 elites came to supervise. Lastly, Ari burned through more than his full supply of MP potions. He was training with a high-level elite in the Great Plains Dungeon. I'm not sure exactly what they did, but this confirms my suspicions that it was him I sensed when dungeon walking through earlier this week. I fill the 3 of them in on some of my battles but leave a few details out. Mostly the time dilation training and defeating the floor boss parts. I trust them and will most likely let them in on the secret too. But inside the association's elevator doesn't seem like the right place to break the news. All of our mentors had to leave early for an urgent mission. That's the only thing we had in common this week. Ding. Laughing and enjoying each other's full company again. The elevator finally makes it to the top floor. The director's office. I gulp as the doors slide open. The last time I talked with the director, I gave him a rather explosive attitude. In his eyes, I didn't even get very far up the labyrinth. My cockiness was for nothing. It's a bit embarrassing, but I'll have to swallow my pride and face him without showing all my cards. He can think whatever he wants. I'm just happy to be back with my team. I let out a calm breath and eagerly look ahead to watch the penthouse office come into view. A woman's voice hits my ear and I'm thrown off guard at the sight before me. Welcome back, the 81st Vice Region Elite Squad. Well, soon to be. The tall, fair-skinned assistant of the director greets us at the elevator door. I see Leo, the legendary Great Artificer, sitting at one of the comfortable-looking chairs by the director's desk. Sure, his familiar face is shocking, but the fact that these two are the only ones in the room is a bit more confusing in my mind. I reply to the assistant as I walk through the silver sliding doors into the glass-walled penthouse. Where's the director? I thought we were having a meeting with him today. She replies while guiding all 4 of us over to white cushioned seats next to the man in the dark purple cloak. Brutus is out of town today. I'll be handling the meeting. I nod slowly as we get closer. The outfit Leo wears today is different than last night, but he keeps the same theme. It's collared, a bit more formal looking. With matte black boots and a light purple glow to him, the magical craftsman really stands out in this white-walled room. He sports a few silver rings and bracelets today too. The assistant speaks up again. Everyone, I'd like you to meet Leo. He's our specialized association artificer. He'll be able to fill any requests necessary for your elite missions moving forward. The silver-haired man stands up and bows slightly before speaking. It's a pleasure to meet all of you today. He raises his head and makes eye contact with me for a split second, grinning, then bringing his gaze up to everyone else before continuing. The association has prioritized your abilities in order to protect our region. so I'm happy to be of service to all of you for as long as you serve the association along my side. We all respond, introducing ourselves one by one until he gets to me. Nice to see you again so soon, Jay. I shake his hand again and tighten my lips into a thin smile as we all get seated. The director's assistant walks behind the large empty desk at the back of the room. She waits for all of us to quiet down, then pulls out 4 silver tablets with small crystals on their corners. They hit the hard wooden desk with a thud. Now, let's talk about your new mission to the Dark Continent. Chapter 198. Now, let's talk about your new mission to the Dark Continent. The director's blonde-haired assistant places 4 silver tablets on the wooden desk in front of us with a loud thud, exclaiming that our mission to the Dark Continent is about to begin. The corners of my lips begin to curl upwards and I whisper under my breath. Finally, both Abby and Maria look up at the tall, thin woman behind the desk with wide eyes. The sun shines in from behind her, showing off the beautiful city and high mountains in the distance a few kilometers away. If I squint hard enough, I can make out the place where we took out C-class exams. Leo smirks, pulls out a small silver gadget from his right cloak pocket, and begins to play with it. He's seemingly uninterested in the conversation, but I know he's listening. Aries' jaw is clenched and his foot makes a light tapping sound on the hard white marble flooring. He's nervous or maybe excited just like me. The director's assistant continues, pointing down at the desk. Each of you, take one of these transmission tablets. They've been made especially for your duties this week. Each of the cornerstones connects to one of the other tablets. It doesn't matter the distance, you'll be able to talk to each other at any time. They can even be used in dungeons if one of the other tablets is outside. She turns to Leo and he nods, speaking up. It takes a lot of raw dungeon materials to make one of those, so be careful with them. They're not easily replaceable. All 4 connect to the director's main tablet, so he can call at any time. I doubt he will though. The silver-haired artificer lets out a chuckle as he watches the 4 of us stand up and begin examining the rectangular objects. The one I pick up feels identical to the tablet I held in the labyrinth with Fisher not too long ago. It seems like they give these out to all elite quads and higher-ups. The woman keeps talking. Your new weekly quotas have been updated. Please hand in your old tablets and they'll be wiped. I reach into my item box and throw the old silver item on the table without thinking about it much. The others do the same. Maria turns to me and grins after her blue eyes lift from the screen on her new quota tablet. It looks like you handed in your share of the MP crystals before coming in today. My credits just jumped up 5 points. I nod, taking a look at my own new and improved transmission tablet. J. Soju. Available credits. 9.4. C-Class. Team Weekly Quota. Clear Dungeons. Gate 1. Section 4. 0/6. Reward. 10 credits. Individual Weekly Quota. None. Reward. None. My eyes dart up and down the odd text for a moment, trying to figure out what exactly this new team task is all about. The dungeon clearing part can be inferred pretty easily. Everyone has been mentioning the collapses up north, so clearing a few makes sense, but the specifications are unclear to me. I look up at the blonde-haired assistant with an eyebrow raised. What is this all about? We're to clear 6 dungeons. Where? Gate 1? Section 4? What's all this mean? She smiles and responds. You're quite enthusiastic today, aren't you? I was about to get to it. Let me run through the logistics. Please make yourself comfortable. Her gaze moves across all of us as we get back to our seats and she begins to explain our mission assignment in full detail. Listen up. I'm sure you've all heard the news in one way or another this week. There's been a series of large breaks near the northern border of our country and the Dark Continent. We all listen attentively. You've all started your training to become this year's new elites, but were delayed slightly because of a large high B-class break that needed attending to from as many elites as possible. It's under better control now, but the aftermath of a labyrinth break isn't something to take lightly. It created quite the surge, and many of the dungeons and the surrounding area began to collapse. The mention of a labyrinth break piques my interest. I assumed it was possible, but haven't heard of any of them actually breaking. I clasp my hands together and try to control my widening grin. She continues, "Your mission this week is to help clear out some of the dungeon breaks that have resulted from the shockwave following the labyrinth incident." The blonde pauses, looking over at me. "Your question about the gates and sections earlier, that will all be answered in time. It will be much more clear to see once you actually arrive. To give you a quick explanation, they're just labels to better organize the terrain you'll be headed to." She looks over to Leo. "You can handle bringing them to Section 4? There's no need for you to go through the gate. Just dropping them off should be fine." He nods, and the woman looks back at us to continue. "The 6 dungeons that you'll be cleaning up are all C-class rated. With all 4 of you working as a team, it should be well within your abilities. This is one of the least dense sections within the first gate, so this will be a great starter mission for your new lives as elites." As she finishes this line, I begin to think to myself, we'll be facing 6 C-class breaks. I've never seen a C-class break before. I wonder if the monsters will be proficient in mana control, or if this will just be an easy walk in the park. Either way, these are the less dense portions of the Dark Continent. This means there's more powerful dungeon and breaks in other sections. Maybe I can get access to a new labyrinth or farming territory if I snoop around a bit. This is becoming more and more interesting every second. I speak up, starting to stand from my seat. "So when do we leave?" I think that's more than enough of an explanation for me. She laughs again, then motions for me to sit down before placing a piece of paper down on the hardwood table with large red X's on it labeled 1 to 6. Section 4 isn't enormous, but I've had each dungeon's location mapped out for all of you. The higher the number, the more powerful the potential monsters that hide nearby are predicted to be. We've had these dungeons tested recently, and none of them ever surpassed level 400 monsters. With the unpredictability of breaks, you never know what you're in for. If one is too difficult, stand down and leave the gates to contact us at any time. My teammates nod, and I do the same while letting out a sigh and sitting back down in my seat. The woman continues, "Lastly, there are small villages and towns filled with outsiders and rogues in Section 4. They're not very common, but a few breaks are nearby some of the settlement areas. If it's gotten bad enough, monsters may be roaming in nearby towns, you'll have to deal with them too. It's our duty to protect, even if they don't want to be protected." "Got it." I gulp, giving her a firm nod, recognizing the new serious tone. The rest of my teammates do as well. Ari seems even more nervous than when this meeting started. I know he has some untold history revolving around these regions. I'll have to ask him about it later in a more private setting. Now doesn't seem like the right time. Leo stands up, looking down on all of us. "Well, on that note, there's no reason in wasting any more time. Every minute you 4 waste sitting around here is another minute that the next surge that hits the city gets even worse. Do you remember the one last month? They say this month's may be almost twice as bad." I fully stand up from my seat this time and turn to the silver-haired artificer. Our eyes meet. "Really? It's going to be twice as powerful. Why's that? Does it have to do with the labyrinth break? Is there dash?" He cuts me off with a grin while turning and waving for us to follow. "I can answer all your questions on the way. Come on, let's go. It's time to head out. You have some dungeons to clear." Chapter 199. I can answer all your questions on the way. Come on, let's go. It's time to head out. You have some dungeons to clear. Leo, the silver-haired artificer, motions for all of us to follow as he begins walking toward the elevator at the back of the penthouse office. I turn to follow, but Abby speaks up to stop us. "Hey, that's it? No mission specifications? No intel on the dungeons we're facing? You're just handing us a poorly drawn map and transmission tablets to go." She grabs the map off the desk with attitude. Maria stands up with an innocent look across her face, turning her head back and forth to me, then to Abby, then over to the director's assistant. The blonde-haired woman slowly nods, then speaks in a low tone. I understand this may be different from your past missions, Abby, but you've been chosen as the new elites. Like it or not, you four are special now. Your team has been gifted the abilities that many other hunters could only dream of handling. The green-haired healer tightens her stare, but gives a firm nod as the thin blonde woman continues. We don't have much information on regions like this one. If I had a better map or more intel, I'd love for you to have it. The problem is, we're understaffed and overworked. Everyone who's able to help fight is out on the front line for this grouping of breaks. Even the director himself went to supervise the B and A-class teams as they handed the core labyrinth break. That's why he wasn't able to see you at our meeting today. Leo jumps in with a hand raised and a smile. Come on, let's head out. We don't want to miss the train. There's one leaving in under half an hour. That's our ride. Abby lets out a sigh, crossing her arms, then turning to face Leo. Her hair flies up in the air from the quickness of her motions as she begins to follow the silver-haired artificer. Maria grins and speaks up. All right, it's settled, we're off. I smile back as she makes her way across the room to follow the others. I look down to meet Ares' gaze. The archer makes an audible gulp as he stands to his feet, replying to my firm nod in a low tone. Ready for this? I throw an arm around his shoulder as we start to walk toward the elevator following the girls and our guide. I am, are you? Is there something you want to get off your chest once we get outside? He lets out a sigh and whispers under his breath so only I can hear. The village I grew up in is near Section 4. I wasn't expecting the breaks to happen so soon. I'll be fine. This was just unexpected. Thanks for asking. Ding. I reply while watching the elevator door open on the other side of the room. Understood. Looks like there's more to this mission than meets the eye. Ari gives me a nod, looking over his shoulder, then back to the open doors of the elevator. Indeed. I'll fill you in on more details later. The four of us crowd into the small elevator behind the silver-haired man. Leo hits the button to take us down to the lobby. His cheerful attitude lightens the mood. He turns to me before speaking to everyone. Well, I met Jay last night, but it's nice to officially meet all of you. If you have any unique or abundant raw dungeon item drops, feel free to put in a request for my assistance at any time. Just tell the front desk Leo sent ya. He scratches his chin and pauses for a second before continuing. Visitors aren't exactly allowed down in my lab unsupervised, but I'm almost always working, so never hesitate to put in a word. I'm happy to help. I smirk and give him a nod. Maybe I'll ask him to have something crafted in the future and compare it to Bree's handiwork. For quick crafts and items I don't mind having made on the books, Leo will be a helpful asset indeed. Abby and Maria introduce themselves. Then Ari speaks up. So we're taking the train up north? That ride will take almost a full day. We'll make it over to Section 4 by tomorrow morning, right? Leo nods as the elevator begins to slow. Very astute of you, that's correct. I've already made arrangements for your housing at the Gate 1 entrance. You'll be able to begin your mission bright and early tomorrow morning once we arrive. Ding. The elevator hits the bottom floor and we walk out into the lobby. The five of us walk through the front door and make our way to the train station without veering much from our path at all. Ari and Leo talk over details of the Dark Continent while Abby and Maria chat about their training. I enjoy the peaceful walk, listening to the merchants and people go by on either side of us as we stroll through town. It's midday and there's many E, D, and even C-class hunters going about their daily lives in the central market. It's a beautiful sight. The active marketplace in a thriving city like this never gets old. I can smell food from many cultures and hear metal weapons being traded along with various crystals and magical items. Grinning ear to ear, the 20-minute walk through town goes by in a flash. Leo's voice breaks me out of my blissful daze as we make it to the station. All right, the train should be here any minute now. Get out your IDs, we'll be riding in a special section. This private cabin is one made for longer distance travel. It's used by the association higher-ups. We all nod and do as he says while walking up onto the train platform through the crowd of other hunters and adventurers getting ready to board. Each and every one of them is going to head off on their own missions and various journeys. No more than 5 minutes later, just like the artificer said, the train comes chugging towards us, screeching to a halt moments later. A few workmen hop out every few train carts. Hunters and businessmen flood out from the train and get straight to work in town. The worker closest to us throws 2 hands in the air as the train's whistle blows. All aboard! We walk over and Leo talks to the man, showing him his ID. The train worker points higher up the train platform. Leo nods and turns back to us, motioning for us to follow. We do. Less than a minute later, we make our way to a new worker standing guard, show our IDs, and board into an exclusive-looking cabin. The worker lets us in and closes the small door behind us, waving goodbye. A pleasure for you to be aboard the train today. We'll be arriving at the gate 1 stop early tomorrow morning. Make yourselves comfortable. Click. The door shuts and we're all left in a rather fancy-looking private room. There are orange couches that line the walls and large glass windows above them. I can see the busy city on one side and another set of train tracks on the other. Abby speaks up as she walks over and lies down open one of the couches with fluffy-looking pillows available for headrests. Now this is how you travel. Who knew the association actually had perks like this for us? I thought only the higher-ups had luxuries like these. Ari smirks and walks over to make himself compatible on the couch nearby. Feeling the soft fabric and kicking his feet up onto a darker-colored coffee table, he speaks up. Not bad. I haven't ridden in anything this nice in a while. Maria walks forward with a happy look on her face, sitting down on a couch on the opposite side of the cabin while letting out a sigh. I follow, sitting next to her and throwing my feet up on a small black coffee table to match Ari. Leo stands by the train door with his arms crossed, staring at us, then lets out a laugh. You know, I like you guys. This is how elites should act. The last few teams have been a real pain. I think you 4 are definitely going to be different. The train begins to move, and a whistle blows again. I watch the crowds of people and bustling market slowly disappear from view. I smile and let out a sigh as the peaceful scene leaves my vision. We're leaving the city. A new adventure awaits. Chapter 200. I watch the busy marketplace fade away in the distance as the train leaves the station. All my teammates and our silver-haired guide watch the capital disappear from view as we leave as well. Almost immediately, we enter a more mountainous region with heavy trees and small lakes that line the train tracks. We've headed almost a full day away from the capital. I've never been this far away from my hometown before. Going to the capital was a big deal the first time I left, so wherever we're headed, this is all new territory for me. I'm not too worried about getting too far away. If anything goes south, I can just dungeon walk back to a number of marked locations. My MP stores have risen significantly, so even at a much further distance away, I should be able to teleport anywhere. We'll see. The lush green plants and wildlife fill my vision through the wide open windows as the tall buildings fade away behind me. It's both exciting and nerve-wracking. I'm pretty glad the decision was made for us. It felt like we didn't exactly have the option to say no. If given a choice, I would have said yes to this mission anyways. I'm looking forward to seeing new things, but most of all, I'm glad I get to go off on an adventure with my team again. Still hasn't fully hit me yet. The fact that I've been gone off training for months in isolation. I've had Ember by my side, but it isn't the same as being around real people. Feels warm. Being around smiles and laughter is nice, especially Maria. I look over to the blonde-haired, blue-eyed hunter. She's grown a lot, but every time I look at her it reminds me of where I came from. That tiny apartment building back in our hometown, farming goblins just to make rent. It's only been a few months, but it feels like a lifetime has gone by. I sit back on the large orange cushioned couch of our private room and gaze out the window. As time goes by, Leo makes himself comfortable and we begin sharing info back and forth as a team. We talk about past quests and association-hosted upcoming events, but nothing too special comes up. Everything about today's mission is apparently easier to explain once we get there, so I'm still a bit left in the dark about what these gates and sections really are. The silver-haired artificer seems alright. He gets along fine with all my teammates, and I don't mind his company at all. He lightens the mood. My only strife is his unyielding loyalty to the association. Sure, he gets to work his dream job, but the glossy-eyed trust is a character trait that's hard for me to comprehend. To each their own, I guess. About 2 hours of small talk, window gazing, and interesting conversation pass before a dinging sound interrupts us coming from the metal door at the front of the private cabin. Leo replies, "Come on in." The small silver sliding door opens and a light-skinned woman with dark hair tied up in a bun rolls a small trolley covered in a white cloth and plates of food and drinks. She greets us with a smile, letting her gaze wander over all of us, then back to Leo. "Here's your order, sir. It's a pleasure to have all of you aboard today." The thin woman places the dishes and glasses onto the various tables around us, then bows and rolls the empty cart out without saying another word. Leo points open palms at all of us, then at the feast. "Well, dig it, they made this for you, don't be shy." Our festivities continue as we eat up and watch the sun start to set over the horizon. The landscape outside has been changing drastically the further from the city we travel. Every 50 kilometers or so, we stop at a new small town and I watch passengers board and leave. The cities we pass are getting smaller and smaller and the abundance of wildlife around us is getting much thinner too. The mountains far off in the distance are beautiful, but the dry, arid land outside is something I've never seen in the real world before. I've only experienced dungeons with landscapes like this and read about some in books. To see it out here is a whole new experience. The sun sets behind the large orange rocks and shines through the dry trees and dry yellow plants. We've made it out into a desert. Small towns and even single-family shacks pass by as the sun finally sets. As it does, my eyes close too. I'm not particularly tired, but these couches are very comfortable. And there's something about transportation that makes it especially easy to doze off. With a full stomach of food, a setting sun, and Maria's head resting on my shoulder, I fade off into a deep sleep with only the light sound of a rumbling train to fill my mind. Time passes. I'm awoken by the screeching sound of brakes, the whistle of a train. Leo's voice is the next thing to hit my ears. "Rise and shine, we made it to the outer wall of Gate 1. Let's go check in and get you guys situated." In a bit of a doze, I sit up, rubbing my eyes. My other 3 teammates are doing the same. I see the archer and the healer on the other side of the cabin and Maria is waking up by my side. I turn to look out the window. There's even less vegetation than before, not a tree in sight, and hardly any mountains or plateaus at all in the distance. Looking out the other side of the train window, I just see a few small wooden-made townhouses and larger buildings. The oddity is the massive gray background that blocks the desert view. I bite my bottom lip and squint, standing to my feet as a worker opens the train door from the outside. I hear a man's voice ring out as Leo jumps down and out of the train. "Welcome to the Gate 1, Section 4 rest stop. We've been expecting you all." Company is scarce around these parts. Laughter is shared between the 2 men as I look back at my teammates, then jump down and out of the train myself. As soon as I hit the small wooden platform below, my gaze rises to look at the massive sight before my eyes. There's a large stone wall, over 40 meters high, that goes off in both directions. To my left and right, I see the solid gray wall curve off into the distance with no end in sight. Abby, Maria, and Ari all hop out of the train behind me. I whisper under my breath, "What is this place?" Dust fills the air as the others hit the old wooden train platform, and the silver sliding door shuts behind us. The man that greeted Leo hops on the back of the last cart. Before I know it, our ride has left the station and we're all alone. I gulp. The morning sun is just rising behind us and the hot air of the desert is already making my mouth dry. There's a few small wooden structures off in the distance closer to the wall, but behind us, there is nothing at all. Just sand and sky. The silence is off-putting. Ari speaks up in a sarcastic tone and begins to walk forward. He passes my left side. "Welcome to the Dark Continent. Home sweet home." With a smirk across his face, the dark-haired archer looks up at the towering wall, then begins to make his way toward the wooden buildings that are built at its base. Abby follows and Maria looks over at me. I shrug, throwing my arms in the air, then turn to gaze up at the high wall myself. Maria and I follow, not wanting to be left behind out in the open nothingness. Leo lets out a laugh. You city folks always crack me up. Come on. Enjoy the peace and quiet while you can. He turns to face the largest building, pointing an open palm toward it. Let's head over to the official Section 4 rest area. There's a longtime friend, short-time association worker that'll make sure you're taken care of there. I'm sure you'll all get along just fine. I look at the 3-story building the silver-haired guide is pointing to. It seems to be made entirely of wood, like an oversized log cabin. Its light brown coloring matches all the other buildings in the area, as well as the train station's platform. There's a small dirt road that leads us over to it. The closer we get, the higher the gray wall it's built up against seems to be. Although not high in the sky yet, the morning sun is already starting to get unconformably hot. There is not a cloud in the sky either to block the rays. The 60-meter or so walk over to the cabin structure feels much longer than it should. Waves of heat are making the air ripple in the dirt road. Leo opens the front door without knocking and yells through it. Hey, Charlotte. I got some visitors for ya. He walks through, turning his head back and motioning for us to follow him through. I hear a woman's confident voice reply. Leo? Haha. Is that really you? I never would have guessed you were bringing the new combat squad here. Come on in. All of ya.